What's up, everybody? Welcome to Racing Dudes Live. Aaron and Magic with you here to cover the Pegasus World Cup card at Gulfstream. And bonus, we're going to be doing some Oaklawn coverage too, because they're having some good races there. Aaron, a couple of good races lately. I love when we heat up right when the show's about to start because A, we're both in a better mood. B, it's usually a good sign of things to come.
Yeah, that's just it, right? We were kind of in foul moods before the Daily Show, and then we hit a couple, and we're like, all right, we're excited. This is fun. And then kind of got, a little bit slow, but then Wet Paint gets the job done in the Martha Washington. That was a top pick. We were excited about it. She ran really well. And then Gulfstream Red Knight gets the win over there in the McKnight. And so that was fun too. So we're it's been hit and miss. We knew it would be like this. We knew Sunday when the entries came out and Monday for Oaklawn, there were going to be races you were right, and there were going to be races that you just couldn't quite predict because they're such a wide open cards, both of them. And so that's kind of what we've expected is kind of what's been happening. And a lot of times with these races, not to just go on and on here, but you tell I'm pumped for this day, but you lose and you're like, oh, I had that horse on top for a while, or oh, I had that horse underneath for a while. That's what happens when you handicap races. It's a 12-horse field, and there's 8 of them that you think can win. And so you just, I text you, and you're like, hey, good pick on Red Knight. I was like, I had like 5 different horses at one time on top while handicapping and putting it together, and I just kept going back to them. It worked out that time, but a lot of times it's not going to work out when you get these type of races that are so deep and challenging.
I'm just glad that we got those early losses out of the way too, because that early pick 5, if you hit it, it was what, almost $25,000, well over 24. When the pick 4, when you get 4 out of 5, right, and it pays 117 or 171, whichever it was, either way, that's usually a sign there were a lot of big bombs coming in there. So it's been a good. Go ahead.
Well, I was to say, I thought you were done there, but you can tell I've jacked up, Magic. But you talked about like the early pick 5. That's the ones that they never really bothered me. Like the horse that won the second race, I just wasn't never going to use, and that's don't take offense to that. If you use the horse, cash the horse, whatever, great job. But I just couldn't get there with that one, And so when I lose with that, it's not that big a deal. It's the ones where, say I didn't have Red Knight for whatever reason, I would have been pissed because it's like, yeah, that one was usable and gettable. So anyway, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I know that you're alive in the pick 6. You had Mary quite contrary one race before. Obligatory was the heavy odds-on favorite, and heavy is a big key word there because she looked just heavy. And from the out of the gate, when Jose Ortiz was rubbing her and then trying to hit her shoulder, and she was fading, that's usually a bad sign for how the race is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, to your point there, Brandon, I doubt everybody is alive. I'm not saying we knocked out a ton of people, but I know I got a text from at least 2 people that said they singled there with obligatory. So we did knock a few people out beating that heavy favorite. So it was a good way to start it. I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people spread in that next leg there and used Red Knight. In the pick 6, I only went 4-7 in that race. I used obligatory and Mary quite contrary. In the pick 5, not the pick 5, but the one before, the pick 4 before, I spread out a little bit more in that one. But I just thought with that one, there's only one of 2 horses that can win, and it was one of those 2. So we'll see. I mean, it was a good start, but long ways to go for the pick 6.
I know Mike Somich was, at least on the Magic Mike show, very much not a fan of Red Knight because of the post he was breaking from. So everybody who was discounting Red Knight for breaking out wide, going 3 turns at Gulfstream, they are no longer alive either there. Dennis says the best thing he did all day was have Irad on the Pletcher first turf horse. That's usually a good combination to have, especially on a big day at Gulfstream, Aaron.
Yeah, good pick there, Dennis. He's talking about the horse that went off at 12-1. It was a 6 horse. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but that was a really good pick, and that one kind of stuck through there. You don't get that often at 12-1. One thing I want to mention about post positions, and this is not a knock on Mike Somich whatsoever, or anybody that thinks automatically, hey, post is bad, we're not playing this horse. All it takes is about 10 seconds of things unfolding right, and then that post position that you worried about for 3 days means absolutely nothing, right? We heard that with Gunrunner. He's one that sticks out with me. And in 2 seconds, Gunrunner was on the rail from the 10 hole and went gate to wire this day on the Pegasus years ago. With Red Knight, they just took him back. And they're saying, hey, we'll just take him back and we'll save all the ground there on the first turns. And then on that last turn, we'll swing him out wide. So the 11, it didn't really play a factor. Now, that's not to say it won't in some of these other races. It can. But a lot of times when they break, it's really unpredictable to know how all the horses are going to fall. And in a couple jumps, one way or the other, what you were worried about with an outside post kind of goes away. That's the hope. Like City Man is another big one that we're going to talk about later on in the show. It's like, hopefully they work out a trip. Sometimes they don't, so we'll see.
A lot of it's dependent on the jockey too, and the jockey on City Man. Maybe that's why I have a little cause for concern with that post. But yes, I've been burned. I would be the first to raise my hand. I've been burned too many times, just automatically discounting a horse at Gulfstream specifically because they were breaking from the 10, 11, 12 post, going 2 turns on the dirt. Or in this case, I didn't. I just thought Red Knight was so good, and you had a scratch, so we moved in and was 1 post closer. So that does help out a couple of horses, but let's move forward. Let's talk a little bit about race 10 here now. We got the Fred Hooper Stakes is going to kick off the late pick 4. Field of 12 here with Hoist the Gold scratching out. Looking at the odds right now, Miles D is the 8-5 favorite. He's breaking from the rail. Aaron, we haven't seen him in 11 months, but I know that Pete Visco on the Magic Mike show was in the chat, and Pete brought up a stat that Chad Brown is almost 44% winners with horses coming back from such a long layoff, going into a dirt route here, going 8 furlongs on the dirt. So I know you liked Miles D. I didn't. What did you think about this race?
Well, I do like Miles D, and I played Miles D on the pick 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to go through there. But I did not put the horse on top. I will talk about Miles D for a second with Chad Brown, and I don't, whoever you said pointed that out. That's the thing. Any kind of layoff, you never really worry about with Chad Brown. They usually come back to fire. So the layoff wasn't a big problem with me. It's just kind of, I don't really know if he really is going to be best at a 1-turn mile. I just think he might be a little better going longer. That being said, obviously, like I said, I put him on a ticket here. I just kind of looked at it like, yeah, I don't know if he's going to be quite good enough to get it done here. I know there's going to be a lot of speed that looks to be signed on. But there's a horse to me that I think looks a lot like Mary Quite Contrary that won the filly kind of version of this, 7 furlongs versus a mile, but still picking up pennies. I think the 7 horse picking up pennies for Saffie Joseph, that's the one I'm really interested in. I think she sits either on the lead or just off the lead. She's won 3 in a row. She's the local horse, just like Mary Quite Contrary. It's kind of the same kind of situation. You're going to have Miles D coming from way out of it, like Obligatory was in that race. Hopefully Miles D, if you guys have played him, fires a little bit better. I took a shot with Saffie's horse, the 7. I think that horse is really interesting in this spot. Moving up in class, but been running really, really well over this track.
There's by my count, there's 4 Saffie horses in here, right? This is a very much a Saffie laden race. He's got Mish, he's got Picking Up Pennies, he's got the Reds, and then 12 Volt Man all the way on the outside. You've got Picking Up Pennies has Jose Ortiz. I really like the 3 Mish if you're going to play a Saffie Joseph horse, just because there's so much speed in here. This one feels to me like the speed of the speed. He's drawn inside. Miles D, Noble Drama, you won't expect them to necessarily go. Octane has Mike Smith aboard. He isn't one to really gun a horse out of the gate very often. So it felt like to me he's going to be able to, possibly if one horse was able to get out to a comfortable early lead. But there is a lot of speed. I think that sets up really well for the 6th black belt. Taking a big jump up in class here for trainer Peter Walder. But this horse is 3 for 3 since Walder claimed him. Back to back career best buyers since Walder claimed him for $16,000. Now he shows up here. Irad rides back after posting that big win last time off after the slight layoff. So he's got the second out scenario here, and he's got tactical speed. He can sit right behind the wall of pace if it ends up developing. And if it doesn't, he's quick enough early. I think he can keep Mish or whoever leads early in his sights and get it going. Did you like the 6th black belt?
I did. Yeah, I did as well. I'm kind of with you. I think the horse is going to sit right by that kind of second flight, maybe 4 or 5 lengths off that top group, and it should be a decently sized group there. You got to love Irad getting aboard a Peter Miller horse. You mentioned it. I can't agree more there. Yeah, I feel pretty good about black belt being able to jump up in class here. Here's the deal. It's for a lot of these horses. Same with the 7 Picking Up Pennies, Magic, and I think you'll agree with this. Yes, in name, it is a jump up in class, but look at the field. Now, Miles D is a grade 3, grade 2 type. He's a classy horse. He's the class of the race, but you're getting him off a layoff. So there's question marks, right? look at the rest of the field. This is an allowance race, right? I mean, it's not a huge step up as far as a talent is concerned, and that's why you see these horses that we're talking about that have been winning allowance races. Their numbers are fine in this race, right? So Miles D, really tough, deserves to be the favorite because of what I just laid out. But yeah, a horse like the 6 Magic, I like. A horse like 7 that I liked as well. And Jared, who's not here, but he's on the 3. He really likes Mish in this spot. He actually texted me this morning. He said, the more I think about the Hooper, the more I think Mish might romp in this spot. He's sitting on the board at 14-1. I don't think he's going to romp. I laughed. I said, he might win. I don't think he's romping, but that's how much he had confidence in him.
Let's kind of go through the field here a little bit. We touched on Miles D. The reason I was against him is not the layoff. I remember his running style from his races, and he's a big lumbering type. He doesn't have that sharp kick that when we're going 1 turn mile, especially here, you need that sprinter's kick to really be able to catch and pass the speed horses. I don't think that that's going to be able to happen for him here. To me, this almost feels like we're bringing him back off of layoff. This feels like a good spot. We'll figure out where to go from here. Maybe you go to Fairgrounds, maybe you stay at Gulfstream Park for a bigger race, but it doesn't feel like a good spot. Noble Drama, the 2, is pretty cold on the board. A little bit of money, 17-1 from a 21-1 morning line for David Fox, Amicio Jaramillo. A horse that 2 back, 1 from off the pace, well off the pace going over this course and distance, but you can't really point to too many races here on the recent form. He does like to do well at the mile, but against lesser company here. What did you give him any kind of a look at all?
Yeah, he definitely is another one of those kind of ones where it's like, okay, maybe he's going to be able to step up, get the job done in this spot. I couldn't quite get all the way there, though. I left everybody off the ticket, or left him off all the tickets. As I should have had 3 cups of coffee before I came on here. But I'm not going to be shocked if he wins. Let's put it that way. But it wasn't one that I used.
We talked about the 3 Mish, 2, 3, and 4, all of them Florida breds in here. The 4 Octane, to me, if this was a Florida bred race, probably going 6.5, 7, he'd look pretty good. But this feels like a horse that really doesn't want to go much farther than 7. He was pretty much all out at 7 at Tampa last out to get the job done. Any chance of the 4?
I do think there's a chance. Like I said at kind of the top of the show, with these races, you're writing down, what I do when I first start handicapping, I write it all down and then kind of in the spots I want to play them in. And I had Octane in like that 3rd, 4th spot for a long time. And then kind of went back to the final edits, or not edits, but final picks where I sent it to our great editor, Magic. And I said the same thing that you just said. I don't know about the distance. I don't know what Tampa means now that we're back at Gulfstream. I was just a little worried about the distance. I don't think this horse is without a shot. You're going to hear me say that a lot today, and it's just the fact that I'm going to throw out opinions, but then some of these other ones, it's those kind of races. It's like, yeah, if Octane wins, it's not like I'm not going to fall out of my chair.
We talked about Hoisted Gold Scratch, black belt, and picking up pennies. We covered Doc Amster, another sprinter, trying to stretch out to a mile. We haven't seen him actually since the Parks Dash back in August of last year. Now for new trainer Jenna Antonucci here. Boy, if there was one horse I thought just had no chance of even hitting the board, he's never gone beyond 7 furlongs. And in that race, he faded to be 4th. He couldn't even beat Dennis's Moment in that race in the Mr. Prospector. So what did you think about Doc Amster?
I didn't think much about Doc Amster. I haven't really thought much about that horse at all, maybe ever. So, no, I'm kidding. I think it's a tough race. I don't think he's good enough. And I didn't really give him much of a thought. One horse I do want to bring up, though, that I'm not going to say I thought about him, but is interesting. What about Prevalence all the way there, almost to the outside, the 12 horse?
Boy, this horse is kind of up and down, and I feel like he was a really big down in the Mr. Prospector Stakes without really much of an excuse. And he shows back up here. Gaffleon keeps the mount. He'll be second off the layoff. I don't like him in this position. I think this is the type of field he normally would be able to compete with, but breaking from the post 12 and the fact that there's so much speed, I don't like his chances to hold on.
Yeah, I don't either. It's just interesting that he was that. Pegasus Day maiden winner, like Hidden Scroll was the one year, and then Prevalence was the next year. And then, boy, he just never really lived up to the hype. He is a grade 3 winner. We'll see. 3rd off, kind of a layoff here, but his last 2 races have left a lot to be desired.
Number 9 endorsed. This was the second up for me actually in this race. This horse is, I don't know what, he turned 7 and right at the end of his 6-year-old season last year. He just looked like the old endorsed from, years ago, back when Kieran McLaughlin was even still training him. And that's how long ago it was that McLaughlin's been off that long. But endorsed, I thought, those last 2 races, he's really showed a lot more interest. And last time out, he had Gaffleon. Gaffleon's going to stay on prevalence, but he gets Luis Saez here for Mike Maker. We just saw, Maker sweep the trifecta in the McKnight Stakes 1 race earlier. What do you think about endorsed?
Just can't back him as far as a win. That last race was his first win in seemingly years. Not seemingly, was years. I mean, if somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about playing endorsed underneath," I'm always going to say, "Yeah, probably a good idea. Yeah, I like that." But if somebody says I'm going to play endorsed to win, probably going to talk you out of it. However, this is a spot where if he fires his best, he's got a chance to win this race, right? I mean, his best race stacks up with these without any question. I cannot say though that I want to play this horse to win. And listen, if he wins this race, sure, you can pat him on the back, but you could also rip up every ticket that I've played. So virtually, obviously. So we'll see what happens here.
And to your point about him playing him underneath, he's 6 for 7 in the Monday at Gulfstream, 2 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. The only time he missed the board, last year's Pegasus World Cup. He was actually on the also eligible list for that and didn't make it this year. But, he finished 4th to Life is Good, Nick's Going Stiletto Boy, 2 winners of the Pegasus World Cup, and then a horse who's back to try and win it this year in his second try. So good company if you're not going to hit the board there. Real quick, the Reds for Saffie Joseph. The other Saffie, what do you think about him?
Yeah, he's one that at times can jump up and run a pretty big race. He's been a little inconsistent. He is not quite up to this class level, but like we talked about, that's not a huge deal breaker here. Don't you feel like maybe longer is better for this horse? I don't know about the 1 turn mile for him. Going to get a pace setup. That's the good news. I just think like mile and an 1/8, mile and a 16th even would be better than this. That's my worry with him. Last time he won, it was at a mile and an 1/8 at Saratoga. And I think it was just, hey, he was able to get a little bit closer to the pace, didn't have to close in quite as far. Here going this 1 turn mile, he's probably going to get left, and he's probably going to be back there with the Miles D's of the world. And it'll just be a matter of, well, how fast can he close? I like closers a little bit better than the Reds here.
Dean Delivers, a horse that is perfectly 9 for 9 in the exacta, going 1 turn at Gulfstream with 3 wins and 6 seconds. Another horse maybe you want to play underneath. I just don't know if you could endorse him to win here, Aaron.
Yeah, Somich likes to call these types of horses like Johnny Tryhards. They're not horses that are going to jump off the screen at you talent-wise. But boy, it just seems like they like to, stick their nose down and really try to get into battles and try to battle it out. He rarely quits, and like the stats that you just said will tell you that, right? He just kind of keeps going. Hey, maybe he's a try buster. Get up there now 22-1, but he wasn't for me today.
Prevalence that we talked about. Last horse in the gate right now, 12-volt man. Can he hit the board or no for the other Saffie?
I don't think so. No.
All right, in the gate here. Good luck if you're playing. We can't show the races, but we'll do our best to let you know what happened. They're out. Oh, and 12-volt man already down to his nose out of the gate. So I'm glad we didn't spend too much time on Octane. By the way, very quick out of the gate. Crossed over right away on Mish.
Yeah, Octane kind of crossed over and knocked Mish around and kind of knocked the 2 horse around. And look who it is. It's Picking Up Pennies. That's the horse I thought would be in front, and there he is out in front. Now it's just a matter of how fast is he going to have to go here.
The start of the late pick 5 went really well for Magic and not good for Mike. And so far, it's the opposite in this race. Mike and I were in big disagreement the first 2 races. 23.7. There's absolutely no speed duel whatsoever. No speed whatsoever. It's Picking Up Pennies all alone on the lead.
As a guy who bet Picking Up Pennies, I'm about to do a backflip. Now they can all fall apart still, but this is a pace that he can win it at. But they're already starting to come to him here, so we'll see if he can hold it on. But he has cruised through an opening half here.
Telegathon looking pretty confident on Prevalence, who's second. Dean Delivers 3 wide in third. Mish is trying to pick it up from mid-pack there. He might be the only one that's gaining right now on this top 3. Picking up pennies might be dropping them down the
Yeah.
toilet right about now.
He's done picking up pennies. He's got the perfect trip, and he quit. He completely quit. I don't understand. Oh well.
Jose was turning, looking back for safety at the quarter pole. That's never a good sign.
Well, here's Johnny Tryhards here as Dean's. Oh, look at this Octane. Octane got through
and endorsed.
Endorsed
over the top. He's got it.
He's got it.
Got it. Boom. Look at that huge win for Endorsed. My goodness. Wow. And look at that. 9, 4, and 11. Octane, and we said Dean Delivers loves to run at Gulfstream. He's right there too.
That's incredible. I can't believe Endorsed is running this well. That's hats off, man. Great race from Endorsed. Knocked me out of everything. But Aggie faulted. Really, really good. Wow.
This is the first time in maybe a month that I've survived the first 2 legs of a Gulfstream late pick 5 too. It's all going to fall apart after this for me, but I'm at least enjoying this. Now, I see somebody in the Richard Alvalar. Never saw Miles D really involved. I saw a lot of horses get knocked around because of Octane's break. There he is in mid-pack. I never really saw him get going there.
The story of today for me, these horses that are coming back from like layoffs and usually their trainers have them ready to fire, they've not fired. That's about 3 now that just haven't quite ran very well. Miles D was awful in this race, and it's not like horses coming from off the pace didn't run well, like Endorsed, right? So we have seen some horses run very poor races. Obligatory ran poor as well. You know, that's not quite the layoff of Miles D, but still, we've seen some non-efforts from some of these horses. And look at this, 9-2 over 23-1 over 11-1.
Man, and we're watching the head-on break right now, and Octane out of the gate into the 3, knocked the 2 Noble Drama, who actually got up for 4th, knocked him way back. Miles D actually not touched in that, so no excuse there for Miles D either, other than I think we talked about it. It just was too short for him, and definitely not the right setup going a 1-turn mile for old Miles D there.
No, I expected him to be like coming late though, and you see him in the picture, and it's like he either gets there or he's just short. I didn't expect to never call his name or see him on the screen. I mean, that's really surprising, and I don't get, like, I thought picking up pennies, like said, who I had on top at 9-1, sets that pace. He's all alone, and I'm like, they're really going to let like Safi go gate to wire here? He totally stopped in this race. Yeah, so I'm really pissed off that he's totally stopped, Magic. That was not good.
Well, it was very surprising too, because he wasn't coming off of a layoff. He was actually second off a layoff, and he's won his last 3 races, which, hey, by the way, we're all 1-turn miles in the Gulfstream dirt. And just seems to be improving with the, every single buyer was doing better and better, and a gradual improvement on the buyer. So it's not like his last out 92, which is career best, that wasn't out of nowhere. He was building to it. So quite surprising there. Another surprising stat. It's going to improve a little bit, but coming into this race, Luis Saez, one of the best jockeys in the country, Mike Maker, always deadly on dirt and turf when in the graded stakes races, 1 for 28 together at Gulfstream Park the last 2 years. They're now 2 for 29. So improving that stat a little bit, but that's one of those things that's a little wacky. Saez doesn't often ride for Maker at Gulfstream, but boy, he got this one home in a big way.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, this was a really impressive performance. Now, again, like we talked about, it wasn't the greatest field ever, especially when Miles D didn't fire, but he pretty much just zoomed by him. Like, this was never really in doubt or a problem whatsoever. And gosh, you feel for Octane. Boy, he ran such a big time race in here. And I thought when he shot through the rail, it's like, oh my God, Octane's going to win, but not to be, man. Endorsed. That was, that was impressive.
Might have just been the distance, for Octane that might have got him there a little bit. But yeah, hell of a run. They did give him second over Dean Delivers. So your official order finished 9 Endorsed, 4 Octane in second, 11 Dean Delivers in third, 2 Noble Drama in fourth, and Prevalence held on. I thought Prevalence would fade off like Picking Up Pennies did, but he holds on for fifth. 9-4, 11, 2-12, and look at those odds: 9-2 over 23-1, over 11-1, over 20-1. and prevalence at 9-1. Your super high 5 is going to be nice. I can't wait to see what the super turns out to be. This is going to be a bombastic here pretty shortly.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's going to be a big payout, and
dollar super 10,629.
That's just
wow.
Man.
Boy, you can't say that there aren't prices at Gulfstream today, can you? That first race set the tone, and here we go.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you knew it was going to happen today. You knew there were going to be some upsets. But look, a 9-2 horse did win that race. So, it's not like that was a crazy one on top. But, yeah, some of those other ones, a little bit more difficult to get to. By the way, getting ready to run the 6th at Oaklawn. Don't worry, it's not a stakes or anything like that. But it is just pouring down rain right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I watched the Martha Washington when they were loading in the gate for it. They have it's positioned on the inside of the gate, and it points straight across the horses, and it looked like it was snowing. I couldn't tell if it was snow or rain, but you're seeing it's rain. I know you've been having some inclement weather out in the Midwest there.
Yeah, it's been very wild for sure. And it was kind of light rain. Now it's pretty heavy. We're going to see. I've got a 15-1 shot on top. It got bet down to 10-1 left the gate. Vulcan in front, going 6, all by himself. I'm sure he'll stop just like the last one did at Gulfstream. But we're going to see how this track plays. Does it play to closers in this spot? So, which is interesting because we've got, like I said, the big time races coming up. Turn for home here. The 1 still has the lead. The 4 looks like going to maybe take over. Maybe not. They're kind of getting away from everybody else. This could be a sign that speed's going to hold, and we're going to have, here comes some closers late. It's going to get tight. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be very good. We'll take it.
What did you get?
10-1 winner on top, free pick at Oaklawn in the 6th race. That's great.
Oh, the 1 horse. All right. I just got it to pull up right now. TVG is being a little slow for me. I know Dennis in the chat was betting the 3 and 7 to win in place. Did he cash anything there?
I blacked out once I got towards the wire. There was a horse that came in late so the 4 was stalking the 1, came up to the 1. The 1 puts the 4 away. And then it's just, here comes some late closers. Let me see who gets 2nd and 3rd. That's a big time win for the website there.
Looks like the 12 is going to be the one that gets up for 2nd late.
Yeah, Jackman. And maybe the 2 gets up for 3rd, or the 4 holds. Let's see. It's close. The 2.
1-12-2-4.
Yeah, 1-12-2-4. So that is interesting that the horse was able to hold on, take it gate to wire there. All right.
Oh man, you're not kidding. They showed the slow motion of the finish line shot, and it's just, that is disgusting.
Well, right now I really love it because the speed held in that race. I love that 10-1. I don't know why the horse was 15-1 morning line. I thought he would get bet down to about 5-1 or so. Held at 10. Then take some gate to wire. That's a really, really nice win there at Oaklawn. I'm pumped for that one. All right.
All right. Well, we can move on to the next race here coming up at Gulfstream. The first click of the odds. We've already got a big favorite here. The way favorites have been running, especially with Rosario aboard, it hasn't been working out. We'll see. The Pegasus World Cup filly and Mare Turf, a grade 3 race, formerly the Marshuas River. I love that they changed the name, increased the purse here to make it part of a nice trifecta, a trio of races to end things here. Mile and 16th for scratch down to 8 fillies and mares doing this mile and 16th. Actually, all mares. They're all 5 and older here. Shanta Sara was the 8-5 or 9-5 favorite on the morning line. Wakanaka was 9-5 when they opened. She and Shanta Sara sitting there about 2-1. Let's talk about Wakanaka first. It seemed like it was everybody's wise guy pick. A lot of people loving Wakanaka here. Remember, she was an Italian running over in Italy, came to Bill Mott, and the first thing he did when he got her was says, we're going to the Pegasus filly and Mare Turf with her. Might have been too much for her, but she really hasn't disgraced herself since then.
No, she hasn't. That race was a little too tough. She didn't get much of a trip, and there's a lot of things you could say about it. It just wasn't ideal. But since that race, she's been really spectacular. Well, I mean, as far as after setting what was pretty low expectations at first race. She lost to In Italian the next time out in a really nice race. The next race she lost to Speak of the Devil at Churchill Downs, who was fantastic that day, and In Italian once again. The next race she lost to Regal Glory. I mean, these are horses that would be 3 or 4 to 5 in this spot, but 3 races back was able to win at Woodbine. They thought so much of her that they tried the Woodbine Mile. It didn't go well. They came back. They ran in a $350,000 stakes on the Breeders' Cup Saturday card, and she looked great, and she was able to get the job done. So I like her a lot in this spot. I think she's coming into the race pretty darn well. It's just going to be a matter of, does Chad Brown's horse, the number 9, kind of rebound from a bad effort last time out?
Yeah, you mentioned the Woodbine Mile. Not only was that a 1-turn race, but she was facing internationally the best 3-year-old in the whole world in modern games there, facing the males. So he scratched that off, and really nothing at all disgraceful. Earned $466,000 last year in all of her starts, including a couple of wins. So not only was she doing well, she was hitting the board in a lot of good spots, a couple of seconds in the third there. Boy, let's talk about the elephant in the room, though. The jockey ride, and Joel Rosario came into this cold, and he really hasn't gotten much warmer. He was aboard Miles D, and you can't really fault Joel Rosario for Miles D just not really picking up his feet, but his horses just aren't running, whether it's him, whether it's the horses, or a combination thereof. Rosario's horses just aren't doing very well so far.
They're really not, and it's a concern, because at least I'm going to back him a couple times in these later races, and it is a concern. The one good thing is, if you ask anybody, what is Joel Rosario best at? It's with closing horses on the turf, and that's what Wakanaka is. And in some regards, City Man likes to sit a little closer, but that's what he kind of is in the next race. So he's got some chances here. I kind of said this week, I wouldn't be surprised if Rosario got hot, because it just seems like once you're ready to kind of throw him out, then he'll win 5 or 6. That has not happened. So we'll see. He can't be riding with a ton of confidence right now. Winning a race like this would get the confidence going. But you're right. He is definitely he's in a slump, and there's no other way to put it.
Dominic Chang in the chat, we'll go back quickly to the Hooper, says he gave Endorse his best bet. I don't know if it was if it said it since we've been live today, I missed it, but if it was in one of our other shows, congratulations to that, and on your best bet there. Boy, I hope you played with the all underneath in the trifecta too. That would have been a nice payoff for you there. Yep. I missed it. I didn't see. This is how little we care about the Eclipse Awards. Modern Games was the American champion turf male. Everybody was bitching about how he shouldn't be considered for a 3-year-old male, but we go ahead and gave him the turf award. So whatever, he is deserving of it. He's a fantastic horse. We saw him win twice at the Breeders' Cup. One of the better horses we've seen in person in a while on the turf.
Yeah, big fan of Modern Games. He's one of my favorites. And a really, really good turf horse. Don't really care about the Eclipse Awards at all, but I am happy. I'm not happy for Modern Games that he won. Modern Games doesn't care that he won it. All right.
No.
But I do like Modern Games quite a bit, and he was deserving. He's one of the best turf horses I've watched in the last couple of years, without any doubt. As a 2-year-old, everybody's going to remember the Del Mar and what all happened there, but that was really a breathtaking race when you forget about that and you just watch the race. He came over here for the Woodbine Mile, and I'm telling you, that was just a special, special race. And he had some excuses where he could have lost at the Breeders' Cup, and he didn't. So, yeah, Modern Games, big time horse. And on the international stage, my God, this horse has ran second over there overseas behind some great horses. So give Modern Games a ton of credit. He's fantastic.
All right, let's look back here at the Pegasus filly and Mare Turf. We'll start at the top here. We'll go to the rail. Artie's Princess, Saffie Joseph Jr. horse. She's been running almost exclusively on synthetic in her career, 12 of 13 starts, and it's where all 7 of her wins came. The only time she tried turf was a Coronation Cup 2 years ago. Actually, it would have been 3, 2020 at Saratoga. Ended up fading to finish 4th. She's never gone 2 turns before, whether on synthetic. She's never gone beyond 7 furlongs. Do you have any concern or any interest, I should say, in Artie's Princess here?
I don't. I know your partner in crime on the Magic Mike show does think Artie's Princess could take this field gate to wire. Speed is a decent play at Gulfstream Park on the turf. I don't think I'm telling anybody any breaking news there. Speed does hold on pretty decent. For me, I couldn't get there. I don't love playing horses only for one singular like reason. Like if she goes gate to wire on the turf and she likes to have speed and she's done it maybe once anywhere in her career, then you get a little bit more excited. She's the pace play. I don't think she holds on.
The Mike's argument was, well, she's on the rail and she's shown speed before. And I said, well, the last two times Jose Ortiz was a border, she was 3 and 6 lengths back early on. So we'll see what Jose decides to do. If she breaks, on top, we saw what happened with picking up pennies, at least went to the lead early there. A horse that you should expect to see forwardly placed early. That's the 2 Delica, winner of the Grade 1 Beverly D Stakes at Churchill Downs last year, kicked off 3 of 4 wins for her, all in graded stakes. The only time she lost, she didn't get to the early lead, and she faded to be last behind Wakanaka in the Fall Harvest Stakes. Delica's only chance to win is to try and go gate to wire. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that's what she needs to do. I just don't trust her outside of like that Kentucky circuit, specifically Churchill Downs. It's going to be interesting because if the 1 goes, then the 2 may not want to go, and so they're going to break right next to each other. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, like in the simple way, yeah, I think she's going to have to go to the front.
We talked about the 3 Wakanaka here, still the favorite 2-1 right now if you can get her. The 4 Sweet Enough. This was my complete bombed long shot play in the Magic Mike Show, late pick 5. I may be reaching here a little bit, but I really think that Roger Affield, the trainer, is very sneaky with his horses. We got another one we'll talk about in the Pegasus Turf here in a little bit, but she is the longest shot on the boards. Actually, second longest shot, 23-1. Junior Alvarado picking up the mount for the second straight race. She did get a win over this course and distance against optional claimers. This is a very, very big step up from not only that, but whatever she's been facing throughout her career, dating back to when she was over in Europe. Did you have much interest in Sweet Enough, or am I the only one?
No, you're not the only one, but it wasn't me. I didn't have any interest in Sweet Enough, but Jared has interest in Sweet Enough. Yeah, I don't really know why, but maybe we're going to find out. I did. He said, say something positive about the horse on Blinkers Off. I said, well, it did win over this track last time out. Kind of looks to be getting better since coming over here with each race. And, her best race was at Gulfstream. So I don't know. Like, I mean, it's not like she's the worst horse I've ever seen, but it's going to be tough for me to get to Sweet Enough.
The big reason I liked her in that race is that she was forward early. She kind of took back and stalked. And then when Alvarado asked her, she had such a big kick. She was clicking off easy 12 flats for her last few splits there. But really, she averaged 11-4 the entire way around the track there. They went fast early. She took back and stalked and then ended up blowing right by. Again, this is a much, much bigger or much tougher field than she's ever faced in her career. But that's why you're getting 23-1. The breeding says she should be able to handle it. But we'll see what happens when she gets out there. The 6 horse, we got the 5 scratch. We go to the 6, Queen Goddess from Michael McCarthy, California-based trainer, brings her out here. Another one that likes to go to the front early, but at least that's how her last few races have gone. But it's California speed versus some of the speed she's facing in here. I don't think it happens. And yet you've got speed jockey. He can be great on the speed. Luis Saya is hopping aboard for the first time. What did you do with the 6 here?
Yeah, that's Jared's top pick. He's excited about her. I just couldn't get over the, California turf versus East Coast turfers here. I hate playing that when that happens. Even when they're at their home turf, if they're on the West Coast, I usually take the East Coast horses. And that's kind of just the rule of thumb. The West Coast horses on the dirt, they can go anywhere and win. They usually go anywhere and win. The West Coast horses from the turf, they have trouble. And so that was my thing. I do think this is another one that's probably going to send. I think Saez being aboard kind of says so. I'm not going to be shocked, but I don't think she's going to get it done in this spot. I think this is a little bit too tough for her.
I understand why they're taking a shot, and especially now that the field is scratched down to just 8. Yep. Her buyers have been pretty solid, and she's been for California keeping and beating good company. 3 back in the Santa Ana going 1.25 miles. She beat Going to Vegas, was a multiple grade 1 winner. So she did win the American Oaks, which was a grade 1 race, even though it was rained off. I'm a little worried 1.16 might be too much for her here too. But if you look at what the California turf racing slate is like, you got to come out here if you think you've got the best one in California, because there really isn't much for you to try and win, especially not from a purse perspective. Let's talk about the 7, Lady Rockstar, Brendan Walsh. Not the other Brendan Walsh. I always think that Jalika is trained by Brendan Walsh. She's not. Lady Rockstar, the 7, Brendan Walsh, right now 7-1, and I know a little popular in the chat here. Tyler Gaffalione picking up the mount, second off of a long layoff here, in a very nice closing effort in the Swanee River, the local prep for this race, going a mile. She got second by a length after being 6th of 9. She was, pretty good looking in that. You would think taking a step forward here, she's got a chance. What did you do with the 7?
Yeah, use her underneath. I just kind of feel like with Lady Rockstar, second off the layoff is the big kind of angle here. We're going to see that improvement. Well, we hope to see that improvement, I should say, today. Had a couple nice wins in a row when she came over here to the United States. Did move up to grade 3 company and get beat, but took time off right after that, which might make you think, well, maybe something happened to her. Second off the layoff, hopefully get back to top form. I wouldn't talk anybody off Lady Rockstar. I think she's going to show up and run pretty well here.
I would expect a big effort from her. Tyler Gaffalione was aboard her when she made her North American debut, going a mile and 1/8 on the Churchill Downs turf, going a mile, like I said, mile and 1/8, but then followed that up winning mile and 1/4 at Belmont in the summer. So facing some tough company for being allowance level there. And the matchmaker, things didn't go well, but they took some time off. Maybe something went wrong with her in that race, and Monmouth's a little bit of a tricky track anyway. They go back to Gulfstream and looks good. So lots of love. By the way, if you're in the chat while we're doing this, let us know who you're liking. There it is. I was looking all over for it. Ed Burke, big fan of Lady Rockstar here. The number 8, Justify My Love. Boy, this horse drives me nuts, because now that Triple Crown winner Justify has a couple of crops out that in racing age now, you look at this and you think that's going to be a Justify. Nope, she's a 6-year-old Brazilian bred. Like, before Justify was even, a twinkle in anyone's eye, Justify My Love was on the track and running, it seems. So Paulo Lobo trains Javier Castellano hopping aboard. 24-1, the co-longest shot right now. She is exiting a win, going to mile 16th at Churchill, though.
She's a lot like your 4-horse you talked about, right? I mean, it's like a couple of races, they weren't that good when coming over to this country. Then last time out, got a win here, right? So it's just the attitude of, okay, she's figured it out, and maybe we can jump up and improve a little bit more today and jump up in class. She's not for me, but there's a case to be made if you want to go that route.
Paulo Lobo has a tendency to, on a big day, even if not get the win, this horse, if she's feeling herself, could end up hitting the board here. A Group 2 winner in Argentina earlier in her career as well. Last one on the board, your 9-5 morning line favorite. Still, we'll call it a 2-1 co-favorite right now with Wakanaka. Shanna Sara for Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz Jr. Irad hopping aboard for the first time. This is a filly that won 3 straight stakes for Chad Brown, culminating the Grade 1 QE2 Cup in 2021 at Keeneland. Huge win, career best effort. And then she had trouble staying healthy last year in 2022. Only raced twice. A good effort in the Jenny Wiley at Keeneland in the Grade 1. The Fall Harvest, though, that's the one that's a little concerning if you're looking to back her here, because you have to try and guess, was that effort just a fluke? Did something go wrong and now we see her come back here in this tough spot? Or is she going to have another bad effort, and then maybe she's just at this point is done in her career? Sometimes fillies and mares, when they're done racing, Aaron, they are done. They fall right off a cliff. So
yeah,
what do you do with Shanna Sara?
That's the big worry, what you just said. Sometimes when fillies and mares are done, then they're done. By the way, they're running the Lost for Jeans. They are coming into the final turn. It looks like Feza is about to take the lead, and Justique's going to be closing. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk about this real quick here. The Too Sweet Trouble in the lead. It looks like Feza wants to get by. Coming a little bit wide on the turn. She's by. I think she's going to get this for you, Magic, unless the 4 comes up and gets her. Let's see here.
You know what I said? I said play a 1-4-2 try if you want to try and make some money beating Justique. And I think, come on, 2. Hold on here. Hold on here, 2.
Hold on for 3rd.
Get in there. Get in there. No, Justique got it at the last second.
That's all right.
Last second. Oh, that is a good one. You know what? I thought Feza might end up winning by a lot more. She's even money. That's going to help the ROI for dudes who bet daily. By the way, quick plug for that. If you didn't know, every Wednesday through Sunday at 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern, right here on the Racing Dudes YouTube channel, Aaron, myself, Aaron's father, Papa Dude, and Mike Somich, we come on. We give our best bets for the day. That's 2 out of the last 3 days. I've given out a best bet winner for horse racing. So we'll take that one for Feza, help the old ROI. That was a good one there. All right, let's keep going here. Or let's go back to Shanna Sara.
Yeah, Shanasara, yeah, for sure. By the way, dudes who bet daily, you just got yours, so we're 1 for 1, which means we've hit 4 in a row. And Somich is leading in his bet so far, only 1 period through. All right, shout out to Sara. We're eventually going to talk about this horse for Chad Brown. You said it. The whole deal is, can she bounce back? If she runs the race last time out, she's certainly not going to win in this spot. If she bounces back, she's going to have a real good shot to win. It's Chad Brown. It's Irad Ortiz. There's nothing to really, dislike, or, if you're betting this horse, I can't tell you not to do it. I think she's a decent enough price too, as well. I think 2-1 is that's decent enough. So you said it though. Sometimes when the fillies and mares kind of have a bad race and you think they'll bounce back, they don't really. And this horse has had a lot of trouble staying healthy. And you sometimes in the back of your mind, you're like, maybe this time that they brought her back, even though she's come back from layoffs and done well, maybe this time she's kind of told them, I don't want to do this anymore. Today's the day we're going to find out. If she does a non-effort here, then she's kind of done, right? If she runs really well, then I don't have to say what's next. Obviously, if she stays healthy, we're going to go to more stakes. So big proving ground for her.
Let's go back through the chat here. Dr. Miranda is in the chat. Good to see you, Doctor. I know you must be feeling better. I know you were. Dr. Miranda has a young child. I have a young child. And Aaron, I know you have young 4-legged children, so you don't know this quite as well. But
right.
They get sick a lot. Well, you know that because you hear about it from the rest of us. So Dr. Miranda dealing with that in her household. Good to see you upright and joining us here. Dr. Miranda, big fan of Waka Naka. Thank you. Nobody ever does the Fozzie Bear Waka Waka. I love that. Or Waka Naka Flock of Flame. That's what I usually think of too.
Oh, I don't know what that one is. I know what Miranda's talking about. I don't know about what you're talking about.
Waka Flock of Flame, rapper. That's okay.
Nope, no idea.
That's right. I don't think they have rap over in your part of the country there.
What's a rap?
Dennis says, I like Justify My Love. The long shot here now at 29-1, 30-1, the longest shot on the board for Paulo Lobo. But you got Hall of Famer Javier Castellano in the irons, and he says, I really don't just want to make the horse feel better about it. So,
so he doesn't.
That works. By the way, we'll be covering the Southwest Stakes here at right. Are we going to be live for that? No.
Oh yeah,
it is. Okay, I couldn't. Timing wise, I'm all thrown off here.
Well, it's
Eastern
go
and
off
Central.
Right after the Pegasus. Right after the Pegasus will be the Southwest. Yeah.
So right after Cyberknife smokes him, we get to go talk about Arabian Night. Got it. But yeah, bringing up the fact that Feza winning for Bob Baffert and the Lost Virginity. I always say the Lost Virginity. Lost Virginia Stakes makes stablemate Arabian Night look good. You picked this out early, Aaron. Bob Baffert is in Oaklawn or at Oaklawn today. He's not at Gulfstream for Defunded. He's not home for Feza. He's with Arabian Night. You spend $3.5 million on a horse. I think you want the trainer to make sure that he goes wherever that horse goes there. Greg's talking about Queen Goddess, the 6th, looking pretty good. Michael McCarthy is a trainer, one that I always trust to do the right thing with the horse, but always, kind of like Bill Mott reminds me of him, where the horses, that when they're looking good, you can usually trust them to run well. We got that going for him. Matt S says Waka Naka goes hard into paint. Could possibly do that. 9-5 though. Are you surprised that Waka Naka is the favorite?
Yes. I am very surprised. I don't like the fact she's got bet like this. I mean, it's always good and bad because she's bet hard. Well, that means a lot of people like her, but it's also like, yeah, I don't like that she's 9-5. Like I thought we'd get 3-4 to 1 on her. I really thought Chad Brown's horse would be the favorite here. So that is kind of frustrating when that happens, but it is what it is. And by the way, you mentioned Baffert. First trip to Oaklawn Park since 2011. How crazy is that?
He didn't go with Pharaoh?
He did not go with American Pharaoh. Think of all the horses that have won all those races at Oaklawn. He personally himself did not go, and he hasn't gone since the Arkansas Derby in 2011. And oddly enough, Arch defeated the Factor that day in the Arkansas Derby. So he actually lost that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so, boy. That is
interesting. It's interesting.
I mean, there was even the year that Oaklawn had the double Rebel, right? And Improbable was in there, and Game Winner, and both of them big Derby chances at the time. And wow, wasn't
Jimmy
there?
Barnes.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, Jimmy Barnes. And maybe he's got other business going on at Oaklawn today. I have no idea why he's there. But, my friend texted me that works at Oaklawn and said, Bob Alfred's here today. I was like, no way. So kind of Got the rack in my brain now. Unless he showed up like during the COVID era, which he could have, I wouldn't have known that. But yeah, first time in a long, long time. So pretty crazy.
All right, here we go into the gate. First one in is Artie's Princess at 30-1. If you're watching us live, thanks for joining us. If you haven't yet, hit like on the YouTube button there or a thumbs up for Facebook. It'll help spread the word about what we're doing and having fun. Let us know in the chat who you like here. And we're not going to shame anybody for who you're picking. This is, for me personally, I think the hardest card from top to bottom I've ever looked at, including Breeders' Cup, man. At least with the Breeders' Cup, you usually feel like there's one or two standouts. Not... Oof, I took a stain with Cyberknife, but let me tell you, I don't feel good about it. Based Outdoors, good to see you. Based Outdoors, a very sharp better. Betting Delika heavy, the number 2. If Delika gets out to the early lead here, it isn't Churchill's turf, but it does play well to speed. If she gets out to an early lead somehow, look at, holy cow, Artie's Princess. Mike Somich must have just gone to the window. She dropped from 30-1 to 16-1.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Here's Cindy's wheeling Lady Rockstar over Delika, the 2, Queen Goddess, the 6, and Shanna Sara, the 9. Hey, I'd like that. Lady Rockstar 7-1 is a really good price as well.
Yeah, Lady Rockstar. I mean, you're getting a price on really anybody. Wakanaka, you're disappointed in, but still, if you really, really like that horse, you can bet it at 9-5. So listen, if you really like Chad's horse, that's a great price. All right, they're off. Well,
Artie's Princess being pushed along. She's holding that rail, but we're actually going to see Sweet Enough go into the lead here. The 4 horse, as they pass by the first time. Artie's Princess protecting the rail, but the 4 might end up clearing her. Yep. We're going to have Delika. Delika's trying to get up there as well. It's going to be 4-2-1-6 into the turn. Big gap there back to Wakanaka, the 3, and then the 7, Lady Rockstar. So
these horses are
8.
Go ahead. No, I said these horses are flying.
Just under 23-4 for that opening. I think because you saw multiple horses that wanted to get to the lead here, and the ones that we talked about could possibly all try, except for Sweet Enough. That one does surprise me. I don't know if I would have bet her on my pick 5 if you told me this is where she was going to sit. But 2 flights of horses here. You got the top 4 and then the big gap. Shanna Sara is sitting at the very back there with Justify My Love, but plenty of time here. 48. They slowed it down a little bit, but 48 flat for the opening half mile, Aaron.
They did slow it down. It just seems like that first fraction, those horses were tugging. They were really going. Look at the 6. They're going to make the first move here. Queen Goddess coming up the outside. And look who is flying up. The 3 and the 1 both flying. Or excuse me, 3 and the 7. And look, Wakanaka is going to take the rail. Okay.
Rosario is already on the brakes in the turn. That's a good look for her. Boy. Queen Goddess is going to take off on this field here. Wow. Luis Saez, if she can hold off Lady Rockstar, and I think she can. Shanna Sara's coming too. Oh, they're not going to catch her in time, I don't think, Aaron. I think it's going to be 6-9-7 here.
Well, I'm going to have to give Jared a huge prop there. We started a big pick 3. He said, we're using that 6 horse. I said, all right, we'll do it. So we're alive. That was a nice effort. And I am officially calling Joel Rosario a piece of shit this year. That was awful.
Wow. That was very, very, very bad. Kevin B had you had the exact backwards, boy. If you had I understand why you didn't box it because of the odds there, but yeah. Shanna Sara came running. This was definitely a bounce back effort for her, a great effort. Lady Rockstar, the love in the chat proved out well. She had a good effort, but when they separated like that early and the 6 was able to kick on like that, usually you see what happened is all the speed horses, they all come back, that big block of 4. And she left everybody in the dust. Great effort there. And Marla K, a longtime supporter of the Racing Dudes in the chat and everything, Marla had the 6 called early. So congrats to you, Marla K, and to Jared as well.
Definitely good pick by both of you guys for sure. Again, it was the West Coast thing, but boy, she kind of proved us wrong on that. And it was interesting because she kind of was pulling. She kind of wanted to go up to the lead there on that first fraction. And you said it, they slowed it down. And specifically, if you go back and watch this again, she slowed it down. She set off of them. Luis Saez got her to settle. She made first run. The idiot got the 3 stopped, and then the 9 just wasn't quite good enough to beat her. So that was a really, really heads-up ride and a really good job by that horse. It's hard when you're engaged like that to shut it down, and she did. So give her a ton of credit. That was nice.
Yeah, and we talked about maybe this possibly being, or at least I said when we were going through the field, it might be a touch too short for her because she's coming out of mile and eighth, mile and a quarter races. That might have been what saved her there, Aaron. She had the stamina left to keep going for that mile and the 16th when they went so fast early and held everybody off. I missed this earlier. 5 minutes before they went off, Greg Riesland was calling out how good Queen Goddess looked as well. So he got the win there. So congratulations to you as well. That was a great one. Richard Alvalar saying the Queen ran supreme. Absolutely. Dominic Chang, Joel Rosario doing what he does best. My God, that was just brutal. I mean, I played against her and I felt bad for people who supported her.
Well, let me back up because I don't know if she would have beat the 6. Okay, that was a really good race. So I don't want to come off sounding like I'm discrediting the 6 because she ran fantastic. I can't brag about that horse enough. I'm so impressed how she was able to sit off after being really, really not ranked, but just really keen to go. But what Joel Rosario just did to that 3 is beyond brutal. Say you had a 6-3 exacta. He screwed you. Like, that horse was making a big move in tandem. One horse keeps going. The other one totally hits the brakes, just runs right into the back of another horse. That was brutally bad. And that is not good for the next race at all with City Man.
No, it is not, because that's a horse that actually needs to save ground, and or at least that's what he did in the Fort Lauderdale. He managed to successfully save ground and then got a good trip. But oh boy, we'll talk about him in a second there. Let's keep going through. Cindy gave out her exact earlier, but she did hit the try and super. So good job with you hitting that one there. Oh my goodness. There's so many comments in the chat here. I'll throw them up here on the screen. I can't read them. There's too many of them, but everybody mad at Joel Rosario for that one. It was not good. As Jason says, we got bell curved. If you played Wakanaka, you got bell curved. That's a Mike Somich saying that was not the right side of the bell curve to be on. He's been on that side a lot lately. Not too good there.
That was bad.
Mark says he played the 6 in rolling pick 3s, but had the 3-9 in the pick 4. Rosario on the rail is always a risk. So let's go through it in case. I know we have some people who were watching that weren't able to actually, you know what? We'll put a pin in that. Mike Somich is there live at Gulfstream Park. Mike, Wakanada on that one. What happened, buddy?
It just got stopped. I mean, it was trying to find a hole behind the one there. Rosario did what Rosario loves to do and just found some trouble in a 7-horse or 8-horse field there. The brutal trip for Wakanaka. I was surprised. I thought Queen Goddess ran really well. Saez did a great job of taking advantage of that pace setup up front. Was able to swing 3 wide on the far turn and just get the job done.
How worried are you about City Man now that we've seen Rosario do this? I mean, that was a absolutely brutal ride. One of the worst I've ever seen.
I'm pretty excited because I didn't pick City Man, so I'm looking forward to that train wreck happening again when I don't have money on it.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I do have it picked, unfortunately. Hey, how's it going down there at Gulfstream Park? How's the vibe? How you doing?
I'm doing terribly. It hasn't been a wonderful day in the tournament, so what can you do? That 6 hurt a little bit there. I had the 3 and the 9 to keep some pick 4, pick 5 action going. But we'll rebound here, play the late double, see if we can turn things around. From a Gulfstream perspective, I mean, it's phenomenal. Gorgeous day right now. It's cloudy, but it's kind of cool, which is kind of nice. Horse has been looking great. The paddock, obviously, right behind me here, absolutely beautiful. We got 2 big races left, and the vibe is great. I mean, you've got, I don't know, probably about 10, 15,000 people who are here. It's exciting when they turn home for home. It's just a very cool atmosphere here at Gulfstream.
Cool. That's what we like to hear. If you've never been to Gulfstream, it's a different vibe, isn't it? It's just a lot of fun. It's not really a big racetrack feel, but it's, I don't know, like a modern feel. Would that be the right way you would or the way you would describe it?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, they built it into a casino and a mall, which is kind of different than what your normal racetrack is. And it's close to Miami. It's about 20 miles north of Miami, so it's got much more of a party feel. A lot of drinking going on down here. Not a massive racetrack, not a huge stands. I mean, it's not like Saratoga where you got the big backfield, or Churchill where you have the infield and you get 100,000 people. I mean, this place is pretty packed when you get to 20,000. So a little bit different vibe, but everyone here is having a good time and just excited to see these last 2 races. Hopefully we can turn it around a little bit.
Well, be glad you're there and not Oaklawn where it's raining and you can barely see the horses running. It looks a lot more pretty where you're at there. Do you have
Has
any
the Southwest
thoughts?
gone yet?
What's that?
Has the Southwest gone yet?
No, we got 2 more races. Oh, maybe 3 more races until the Southwest. So.
All right.
Who do you got? Who did you pick in this 12th race? You said not City Man, but who'd you pick?
Look, I felt like this was a 2-horse race. I thought this was a place to take a shot. My top pick was Lady Spitespear, the 6-horse, who's coming out of a really good effort at the Breeders' Cup. I feel like she's going to get the pace set up here. We saw what Queen Goddess was able to do sitting right off the pace there. You really have to be close to the lead right now on this turf course. I think you're going to see Lady Spitespear be able to do that, sit just off the space. I do think Atone has a shot at taking this field gate to wire as well. So most of my pick 4s, pick 5s, I was just too deep with the 3 and the 6, but I've got Lady Spitespear on top. If I was still alive in the tournament, I was planning on pushing Lady Spitespear here. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I respect the heck out of the 12, but if you watch the last trip for City Man, he absolutely tripped out in that spot. With how Rosario's riding, that 12 post is going to cause a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think the 80 post is going to cause a lot of trouble. Well, listen, you made a rookie mistake, Somich. You did too well last week. You couldn't do that well 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll go cry into my $75,000.
Hey, I set it up. I set it up for you, and you took it, so I appreciate that.
Hey, what are we drinking today? I've got my my hard seltzer here. What are you drinking, Mike?
I've got some whiskey. So we've been having a Scotch day here. We started drinking about 2 races ago. You know, we were kind of keeping it easy until we got into the show times here, and now we're gonna probably hit it pretty hard tonight. Looking forward to it. Gonna switch over to tequila probably here in about a race.
Oh boy, yeah. They have Casamigos on tap down there for you yet?
Not on tap. I mean, we're not that high level yet, but we've definitely found Casamigos down here, so I'm excited about it.
Awesome. We need to get Casamigos to sponsor the Magic Mike show. It's definitely a drink of choice for us. A good one there. All right, Mike. We can. Actually, you talked about the tournament. Who is leading the tournament? And there's been a lot of prices. Is somebody just running away with this thing?
That's a great question. I have no idea who's leading. Last time I checked, the leader was at $44,000 though, which is wild. I mean, $5,000 bankroll, getting to $44,000 is a monster move. It looks like it's going to take $75,000 to $100,000 to win the tournament, which is a lot of people playing very aggressive, which is how you have to play these tournaments. But that is a huge move to go from $5,000 to $75,000, $100,000 to be able to win it. So a couple people are red hot, and this is just one of those cards where, especially since they allow trifectas here. It's one of those cards where you can go up and down very, very quickly on this leaderboard. You saw a couple people make monster moves early by hitting big-time trifectas. I wouldn't be surprised if a $500 try in the last ends up winning this tournament.
Yeah, people in the chat are, I don't know if you're able to see, I know you're on your phone, but we had a lot of people in the chat wishing you good luck here and with everything going on. We'll let you go because I know we don't have that much time before the Pegasus Turf here, but give us one more time your top 3 picks here. I know you like Lady Spitespear, but give us your top 3 for the turf.
I was 6-3-12. Lady Spitespear over Atone, over City Man. I'm probably just going to play doubles with the 6 here and play 6 into the 4-5 way to Barrio and to Funded in the Pegasus World Cup.
All right. Good luck, buddy. We'll see you after the turf and get your thoughts more on the on Pegasus World Cup. Say hi to Papa Bomb for us, too.
Yes.
Wave, Dad.
Hey, there he is.
Hey! There he is.
Just don't bother me.
All right, guys.
I'm making connections here. All right.
He's
see you, Mike.
Betting.
There you go. See you, Mike.
See you, buddy.
Busy betting. Yeah. That true Somich right there. Busy betting. Get away from me. Don't talk to me. I'm betting right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious. Good stuff. Love having people live at the track. We've had Slim on before. Somich is he may not be as entertaining as Slim, but a little more coherent. So it's always good. People, they have a great time at the track. All of our team does. So good to see that.
I want to bring up some more Joel Rosario mocking just because they were making me laugh out here. Pedlo says Rosario could find trouble with free dancers. That one made me laugh. That sounds like a Papa Dude saying. I like that one a lot.
Well, hey, Pedlo's in a good mood because our Sooners absolutely dominated Alabama. So Boomer Sooner, Pedlo. I'll say it today. First time in a while. But yeah, you're not wrong there either. Go ahead. Sorry.
The only tide rolling is the waters down at Oaklawn Park right now. That's the only thing happening good there. Where was the other one here? Rosario could find trouble in a 2-horse race. You put him in a match race. Watch what happens there. Chris Mael. I'm still perplexed how Rosario did that. 6 other horses in the field. Man, somebody needs a talking to with that guy. Like, just Stop what you're doing. Stop it. Stop it.
Sometimes, I think the criticism on him is kind of unwarranted, but it's been awful lately. I mean, and I'm a bigger fan of his than many people on the show, including you, obviously, but he has been just downright awful.
I'm going to hope that changes because I did have the 12 City Man on top here in the Pegasus World Cup Turf. Let's talk about this. 16 minutes to post. You see the odds up here on the screen. Actually, those are not the correct odds. I don't know why Equibase isn't updating for me, but looking at the field right now, City Man is your 5-2 favorite off of a 4-1 morning line. Of course, he won the local prep for this, the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale last time out. But let's go through the field pretty quickly here. The number one, Wit, is one of three freshly turned 4-year-olds who are facing older horses for the first time. A bunch of reasons I didn't like him in here, including that, but he's my Practical Joke, and Practical Joke was not great at 2 turns, not very good at 2 turns in his career. His offspring really seemed to be kind of limited at about a mile or so. He did just miss winning the Hollywood Derby last time out, going a mile and an eighth. What did you think about Wit?
I went back and forth on this horse. I'm not going to be shocked if he shows up and runs really big, but end of the day, I thought he was just a touch below kind of the top 3-4 horses in here. So I ended up leaving him off. But, it's been that kind of day. Yeah, I was close, but I just left him off and then he wins. So we'll see. I don't really like him at 7-1. I think if he was going to float up in price, that would be a little bit different. At 7-1, I just couldn't get behind him. I think there's too much of an improvement that he's got to make.
Chris Morales says Wit equals takeout reducer in here. This is why I should not be drinking so much on screen right now. The number 2, Good Governance for trainer Anna Mia. A big step up in class for this horse. One that I know Mike and I talked about on the Magic Mike show. We would like better if no shot against Shaw Bridgemahan. But, buddy, this is the Pegasus World Cup Turf here. Like, this is, Breeders' Cup-esque. And you would want to see a top-level jockey on him to support him. If you do still like this horse, 22-1 seems like a good price on him, Aaron.
It is, but I'm with you. I was not excited for that. And he's another one that's just like, I think you're just a tad below what we're going to need to be to win this race. So end of the day, just could not quite get there with the 2.
I will say if the horse does end up winning this race, it'll be a big bomb, but it will just continue the bad day that Chad Brown has been having, because this is a former Chad Brown trainee that just never really could get out of the allowance level and do anything of any note here. So be interesting to see what Anna Mia is able to do here. The 3 Atone, almost my top pick. You and I talked about this. I had 6 horses that I placed in second at one point. Couldn't ever figure out who I wanted to put on top. I didn't go with Atone, but Irad Ortiz Jr. picking up the mount after that extremely impressive gate-to-wire win at Aqueduct, going a mile and eighth against optional claimers. Aaron, this might be the horse that takes the lead into the turn for the first time, depending on what Irad wants to do. What'd you think about Atone?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is the one that's going to go to the front. I think, we saw it with Red Knight, when Maker had a bunch of horses entered and Irad got on the one that was, it ended up for at least that race being the one that was live. Gosh, Magic, he's almost like endorsed a little bit, right? He's not quite as bad as far as that losing streak that he had, but it just seems like when he gets into these kind of spots, he can't quite get the job done. But we saw endorsed win on this card. Maybe Atone can do it too. I agree with you. He does have a little bit of a pace advantage here.
Really hard to find a bad effort from this horse anywhere. And, you look back at the other than the Grade 1 Keeneland Turf Mile, where a mile against some of the best, again, turf milers in the entire country, if not the world. You scratch that off. And since Mike Maker took over for him, really not a bad effort. Missed winning the Pegasus World Cup here last year, or missed getting third by a nose. He was less than 2 lengths behind Colonel Liam, who was the repeat winner. Number 4, Hurricane Dream, a first-time North American horse for Graham Motion. Frankie Dettori picking up the mountain, and this horse actually did make my Magic Mike Show pick 5, specifically because Dettori rode this horse to a second-place finish by a head in a Group 2 in Germany last year. Time form figures say that when he is on fast or firmer turf overseas, he fits here as well as anybody. He's getting firm turf, but it's a big challenge, even against this, not a big standout here, but a big challenge here. What do you think about the 4?
Yeah, he's the unknown, right? And I think if he shows up and he handles the situations and handles the turf course and everything that you got to do when you come over to the United States from overseas, that's going to be the big question mark. If he handles it, I think he fits. he's getting money, so that means there's a little bit of hype to him at least. I kind of just around the fence. He's another one, kind of had him underneath, ended up not doing it. Probably going to beat me, but I did not use this horse.
Another horse that's, well, I guess in terms of stakes company, is a freshly turned 4-year-old facing olders for the first time. That's going to be the 5. One more bid for Ryan Hansen, a big surprise winner, 16-1 on Malibu Day in the Mathis Mile, Grade 2 race, going, of course, a mile at Santa Anita, stretching out to 1 1/8. You'd expect him to show speed, and we did see Mike Smith go to the lead or go to the front with Octane a couple of races earlier here. Any chance of one more bid to pull off another big surprise?
No, I didn't like this horse. This was one that I never really considered. So if this one wins, it's just, you just kind of toss your heads up to me. It was a big win at Santa Anita, and here we go again, right? Another horse coming over from the West Coast, but I just couldn't quite get on board with this 7 or this 5, excuse me. I just think a little bit overmatched.
By the way, real quick, if you have a television set or another device handy, put on the NBC telecast of the Pegasus. Their broadcast is starting now. Just make sure you mute it. Keep Aaron and I on, because I guarantee you we're going to give you better coverage than what you'll get there, at least aside from the race call. They might have us beat there. Yeah. Pete Isle is pretty damn good. Next up, the number 6, Lady Spite Spear for trainer Roger Atfield, the lone female in this race. Could have been in the Pegasus Filly Mare Turf one race earlier. Atfield throws her here. This is her final career start, and this felt like the wise guy horse for this race, and it's showing 6-1 morning line, 9-2 currently on the board now, and that was Mike Somich's top pick you heard earlier. But Aaron, I really don't see a reason not to like her in here.
Well, the only reason you wouldn't is that one race last time out was a little bit of a jump up compared to the other races she's been in. Not that they were, as far as the performance goes, not that she was running poorly, but she ran really, really well in that one. So a lot of confidence to throw her in here. I'm with you guys. I had her in second. I probably, looking at who I have to rely on as far as a jockey goes versus who's riding Lady Spite Spear, I probably have made a big mistake. But yeah, I think Lady Spite Spear's got a big shot. If she gets back to that last race, I think she's going to win this thing. But can she do that 2 races in a row? That's the big question for me.
We'll find out. The next up, another 4-year-old, freshly turned 4-year-old, taking on olders for the first time. The winner of the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby, the other motion horse, that's the 7, Speaking Scout. Paco Lopez picks up the mount. This horse is a half length away from 3 wins, all against stakes company. Took this horse a while to come around. They did initially think he might be a Derby contender, and then that didn't pan out for him. We'll see what happens. What do you think about the 7, Speaking Scout?
Well, he beat Witt last time out, and Witt is 8-1, and Speaking Scout is 18-1. So to me, if you're going to play one of these 3-year-olds, this one makes a ton of sense from a price standpoint. I used the 1 and the 8, or the 1 and the 7, and I said I don't like either one of them, so I'm not going to use either one of them. But if you think these 3-year-olds are going to improve as a 4-year-old and jump up to this class and be okay, the 7 makes a ton of sense at 18-1.
The 8, Who's the Star for Mark Cassidy, a long shot anyway, scratches out. The 9, Decorated Invader, the first of 2 we'll talk about for Christophe Clement, who ran 1-2 in the Fort Lauderdale Stakes, the local prep for this over the same course and distance. This horse was second to City Man. He ran a second all the way around, and you got to give him a little bit of an excuse, Aaron. In that race, he was breaking from the spot where now City Man will break from, very far outside. Still ran a good second there. He'll now break from the 8 post with the scratch of the 8. What do you think about Decorated Invader?
Yeah, I've always kind of liked him. He has disappointed in some pretty big spots, though, right? Like, he has disappointed in a spot or two where it's like, yeah, you were supposed to win that race. You didn't do it. He's been beat as a favorite a lot. The good news is he's far from the favorite today. He's 27-1. You're getting the square price that you need on this horse. I couldn't quite get there with him. If you play him underneath, I wouldn't really talk you out of it. I don't think he's going to win. He's probably going to show up with a decent effort, though, for sure. And you said it, in that last race, he kind of had some trouble, but City Man also had a little bit of trouble in that race, too. It kind of kept that closer than maybe it should have been. And no shock that City Man had trouble last time out because he had Rosario aboard.
Oh, boy, if you thought we were done bashing Rosario
and kind of doing the whole reverse psychology where I'm going to look really bad that he gives City Man a great ride and wins, because that's what I need to have happen. So I'm trying to just knock him as much as possible.
Well, we'll talk about it again later, but Rosario does have that tendency. You brought it up before, right? When you just completely write him off as being a total bum, then he'll win. He's not going to win 7 or 8 on the card this time, but he'll definitely, maybe we'll get a shot here. Next up, the 10 Ivar for Paulo Loba, your 5-2 morning line favorite. And I understand why he was the morning line favorite, because he's, other than the last race that he won, his last 10 races have been against grade 1 company, it seems like, including twice in the Breeders' Cup Mile, finishing 4th both times. He always seems to show up with an effort, but he's never tried or he hasn't tried to mount an 8th here in America in a long time, and it didn't go well for him last time he did. I like him. He's a classy horse, but it feels like 3rd or 4th might be his ceiling here.
Yeah, you'd love to see some other wins, on that resume other than that one at Indiana. But you know what? I just think this horse is the class of the field. I think you can rely on him to get second, like you just said. I just don't know if he gets all the way up and wins. He should, though. He absolutely should. But he's just that type of horse that he's just a day late and $1 short every time. But this is not as tough of a field as he's been facing. That is for sure.
Yeah, 3 back, second to Modern Games in the Woodbine Mile, 2 back, second in the Keeneland Turf Mile to Annapolis, and then last time out, 4th in the Breeders' Cup Mile, but he was a nose and a neck away from second. Of course, Modern Games won that as well.
Let me hit the pause button. Let me hit the pause button. Who did he lose to? 2 back?
2 back, he lost to Annapolis.
Exactly. That's the problem. That was a race he could win, and he didn't do it. Yeah, he did lose to Modern Games, but then he loses to Annapolis. But then the next time he faces Annapolis, he beats him like crazy. Why? Because he wasn't ahead of him going down the stretch. It's like he just can't ever get all the way there. And that's why, even though his numbers look a little better than this group and his class is a little better, I couldn't get all the way there to win. He certainly can win here. I just couldn't quite get there.
The 11-horse Masterpiece was almost my top pick here for a little while, and I love the 10-1 morning line. He's holding pretty steady at 9-1 right now. It looks like for first time out for Saffie Joseph Jr. Previous trainer was Michael McCarthy. All he did was just win pretty impressively with Queen Goddess last race here on the card. After the Breeders' Cup Turf, where he was in way over his head, he was bought privately. They sent him to Saffie, and the first thing Saffie did was go, we're going right back to a grade 1. We're going to do it at Gulfstream Park, and we're going to get Tyler Gaffalione to ride back on him. He's a perfect 3 for 3 at the distance, including winning the grade 2 Eddie Reed in California by over 3 lengths. He's a mid-pack closer. I don't think the wide draw is going to be too much of an issue as long as he doesn't get hung, 6, 7, 8 wide that first turn. What did you think about here with the 11 Masterpiece?
As you were talking, they were actually showing Masterpiece on the screen, so it would have been cool if we would have been on television, Magic. But anyway, I think he does kind of warrant some interest here getting to Saffie Joseph. I'm with you. I'm not overly worried about the post position. Can he rise up? Is he good enough, to kind of jump up to that level where he once was? And maybe first time Saffie's going to help. It is worth noting Saffie pretty cold on this card, but I don't take a lot of credence in that. It just takes one race. If he wins this one, nobody's going to worry about the other ones he lost. So I get it. If you want to play a horse at 9-1, that one makes sense.
By the way, it's worth noting that a lot of the races where Saffie has been cold and didn't win earlier, he had 3-4 horses entered, and that's going to be the same for the next race, the Pegasus World Cup. He's only got 1 here, so why run 2 or 3 or 4 when 1 will do? Maybe that adage pays out here with the 11 Masterpiece. Next up, top pick for you and I. Oh, good Lord. Joel Rosario riding the 12 City Man is sitting here at 3-1 on the board. He's currently the favorite over Ivar at 4-1. Forget for a second what we've seen from Rosario lately. Rosario is his 6 of his last 7 turf rides on this horse were wins. He knows how to win on this horse. It's Christophe Clement, who is 38% right now at the meet at Gulfstream Park. Stop the Rosario bashing for a second. Make the case for why City Man gets the job done.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, Greg pointed this out, and I was watching this as well, Greg, watching the post parade. He said Ivar looked really good. He sure did, but City Man did as well. And those were the 2 that really stood out to me as well. So we kind of saw the same thing there. City Man looked fantastic on the track. Look, I singled City Man the last time he ran here in the Fort Lauderdale. He got the job done. A lot of people were on Colonel Liam that day. I really thought City Man would beat him. Of course, Colonel Liam didn't show up hardly at all with anything. But listen, this is a super, super consistent horse. That's the number one thing that stands out to me. you can always count on this horse to show up with a solid effort. A lot of people like Atone. He dominated Atone at Saratoga when they faced a few times back. He's won 3 races in a row. Yeah, say what you want about Rosario. He was able to win on this horse 2 straight times. And like you said, I think you said 6 times he's won on him or something like that. So there's so much to like. Also, I don't really think the post, God, knock on wood with what we've seen, but it really shouldn't bother him. Look at his past performances. He's able to win from different spots on the track. And so if they're flying or he doesn't catch a real good break, I think he can kind of tuck under and he can sit a little bit off and win. If he catches a good flyer, I think he can outbreak a lot of the horses to his inside and at least get over to where he's not 5 or 6 wide on that first turn. So he's tactical. He's consistent. I like him. I mean, I just, there's a lot of good things about him. I think he's going to be there with a chance at the end.
I will say that at Gulfstream Park, we're not going a mile and a 16th, or even a mile and a half, where that run up to that first turn, it hits you. You've got most of the stretch at Gulfstream to try and get into position. It's what worked for Decorated Invader to get into a second position earlier in the Fort Lauderdale. With City Man, my biggest concern is I think that a lot of times he ends up riding on the inside early and then popping out to get the win. And I don't think he's going to be able to necessarily do that in this spot, but we'll see. He does look good. They're showing him on the screen right now. He is looking pretty nice. The last horse in here draws in from the also eligibles with the scratch of the 8. That's the 13 King Cause. Mike Maker now has another horse in here other than Atone. Florent Drew picks up the mount. A horse that, at his best probably wants to go to the lead and keep going. You look back at the grade 3 Knickerbocker at Aqueduct. Went gates with Kendrick Carmouche. Last time on the Fort Lauderdale was outside, didn't get to the front early. Jose Ortiz didn't push him, and it was over from there. Let me ask you this, because I don't think either of us really thinks King Cause has much of a chance. Do you expect to see Flo quarter horse him out of the gate, or do you think he saves that for next race?
It kind of, well, maybe both. Who knows? It kind of seems like that's this horse's big chance to win, is to get out of the gate, go to the front, and just try to take him gate to wire. That should set it up well for some other horses in here, maybe the 12. But I think that's going to be the strategy. You draw and way to the outside, just kind of gun it. Your best races have been when you've done that.
King Cause was actually my third horse up in the Carousel Club on the synthetic earlier, but he scratched out of that when they found out they could run him here instead. All right, we got flashing 0 minutes to post. Get people getting their last bets in. Horses are still circling. Haven't hit the turf course quite yet. If you're in the chat, let us know who you like here. We'll go through. Jason Worth is going to start off. He's playing Speaking Scout and 7-8 double. I'm going to have to. They're going to make me pull up the PPs for the Pegasus World Cup and figure out who the 8. I know it's not Cyberknife. That's all. That's all I know for that one.
The 8 is get her number. Yeah, get her number.
You know what, Jason? If you hit Speaking Scout at 21-1 and to get her number, who's 15-1 morning line, I think drinks are on you next time we're all at the track, buddy. That's going to pay out nicely. And if it hits, we'll make sure we congratulate you here for you. Lots of love for City Man here with how good he looks from Chris, from Greg. By the way, before we go, I'll go back to you, Brandon. But Greg pointed out Queen Goddess, how good she looked before she ended up romping last time out last race here on the card. Brandon liking the 9 Decorated Invader. I am surprised that he's 25. He's 25-1 now, according to TVG, but to 27-1 here. I'm surprised he slipped that much. He was second in the local prep for this and had some valid excuses, I thought.
I agree. I don't really think he should be 27-1 in this field. I think he's better than a few of these for sure. And he's another one. I'm not going to be completely shocked if he wins. Didn't use him, but he's a classy horse. We have great timing. They've got him on the screen right now. Junior Alvarado just kind of sitting chilly on him right now, but he looks very good. He always has. I've seen this horse a lot in the flesh, especially when he was 3. And Clement always usually has this horse looking pretty good. And look, he's got to turn a foot. It's just going to be, is it fast enough in a field like this?
Cindy plays horses. She didn't get the exact, she had to try and super earlier, and she's given out a wheel with 4 Hurricane Dream over the 1 with the 9 Decorated Invader and the 12 City Man. Richard Alvalar, Lady versus the Boys. I got the lady. Where was the other one in there? Marla K, the 6, a queen last race, a lady this one. Also likes the 10 Ivar. I think Ivar is not, I don't want to say a lock to hit the board, but if I was going to say you've got a show bet, if we did like the Mike Somich show parlay throughout the day, and you had one horse that you were going to pick here for the show parlay, would it be Ivar?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to survive it, I think he's the safest pick. He's not going to pay a ton, but if you're live with a show parlay in the 12th race, that means you've hit 11 in a row. So you don't need a big payer. You just need to get a cash here. I would take Ivar. I think he is the most consistent horse in the race for hitting the board.
Car Ramrod taking the 11 Masterpiece, playing a double into the 6 Art Collector in the next race. Art Collector 10-1 on the morning line, which will be his final career start, I believe. Sunriser, let's go number 12. That's the City Man. Kevin B says, if Ivar wins this, I lose everything. If I hadn't been knocked out last race, that'd be the same way for me. Let's see. Sylvain going to go 1-6-10 for the pick 5, 1-6-7-10 in his pick 4. Good luck there. Sylvain he was all into the 9 last race, which was Chantasara. It didn't work out for him, but he was all here in a different spot. Valleys to Peaks likes the 11 Masterpiece. Rob ends at Hurricane Dreams ever on a firm for Europe. I don't think firm actually exists in European racing. I think that's not something that they are actually allowed to print, is that they have there. Going Masterpiece, Rob says Gaff Leon did win this race 2 years ago. Was he aboard Colonel Liam? Colonel Liam's won this race 2 years in a row, so I'm not sure about that one. We'll have to check on that. Irad was the rider both times. I thought so. Yeah. Maybe 3 years ago before it was changed. All right, horses are going into the gate. Get your final bets in. Good luck to you. If you're changing over to NBC just for the race broadcast, make sure you pop back over here for our analysis. We'll be happy to have you come back. Marla K says this is a nice race. You know what? All 3 years now, the Pegasus World Cup Turf has been a very nice field. Colonel Liam, both years that he won it, there were a lot of options you felt like you could have gone. I think I, for one, at least was surprised when Colonel Liam was able to repeat last year because I thought it was a good field. Definitely a great betting race, a great betting card here at Gulfstream Park. We got this and one more race left. There you go, 2019. All right. I knew you were probably right about him winning this race, Rob. Just getting the year correct there. But thanks for that. I think we got a couple more here left to go. Yeah, Richard Alvalar did say City Man not happy. He's literally walking backwards into this when Rosario's on the horse, and they're literally walking him backwards to the gate.
It's golly. What's crazy about the sport? I've got one track at Oaklawn where I can't miss. And I've got one track at Gulfstream here where it's like, yeah, well, your top choice is going to have to go in backwards. You know, like it's like, and you use the
with Mr. Freeze sitting aboard.
Right. Yeah. Well, listen, he's in the gate. It wasn't too bad. So.
All right. Let's see what we can do here. They're off. Good break from City Man. He's not going to get hung too wide as if Rosario doesn't let him. 13's going forward there. We weren't sure what King Cause would do. 5, one more bid. Looks like he is hell-bent on taking the lead. That's twice now. Mike Smith decides, I'm taking the lead, damn it. I'm going to go for this. King Cause sitting second. Witt sitting a very nice third there. Going to save a bunch of ground. Lady Spice Spear, everybody's fan favorite, is going to sit there in fourth. Atone goes off as your 7-2 second choice here.
Oh my God.
They have him listed as the favorite. The odds might be different than what we see here on Equibase here. They're showing him as the favorite, but Ivar sitting outside of him, and then you've got the 7, Speaking Scout, the 9, a Decorated Invader, City Man sitting way off the pace there, along with Good Governance. A very fast opening quarter with the Ryan Hansen trainee, 23-1. He slows it down, 47-1 on the backstretch there. Well, you don't have to worry about where City Man is. We can see him. He's the one that's 8 wide down the backstretch, Aaron.
Yeah, he is. He is. Win or lose, man, I can't believe Atone got bet like that. That's crazy.
Someone brought it up in the chat asking if he was the most overbet horse because he was like, I think, third choice in the doubles and pick threes there. I think it was Richard Alvalar. Lady Spice Spear is in a good spot, but she's being scrubbed on and not moving. Boy, King Cause is looking. He's there. I don't know if he's going to get the lead off the stretch here, I think. If this horse draws in off the also eligibles and wins this. Oh, boy, here comes Ivar. Ivar's got zero excuse, and here's Atone.
Look at Atone.
Look at Atone. Atone says, this is why I was the 7-2 favorite, bitches.
I'm not overbet.
Boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
3-10-7. Speaking Scout gets up for third for Grand Motion. A wall of horses for third, and the rest of the placing. Hell of a race. Hell of a finish there. They came home. Let's see. The 3/4 to the mile was 23-2. And I missed what the final time there was. That was a fast race. And Atone with Irad Ortiz Jr. smoked them in the stretch there. That was great. Ivar, boy, you had to think if you're an Ivar supporter, this is his big win, and he just gets caught again.
It's just every time. It's every time, isn't it? I mean, I was you. I thought, okay, he's got it, and it's like, no, here comes a Tone. He just cannot get a win like this. But I'm shocked. I don't even know how to begin with a Tone. I can't believe he got bet like that. Like, I think everybody knew 12-1 was going to happen, but I thought 6, 8-1, and he was that. And then he gets bet down to 7-2. He's not on the lead, and then he comes flying late. I mean, a lot of really surprising things. Really nice race for a Tone, though. I mean, you got to give him a ton of credit. He ran great.
Do you want to know who finished last, Aaron? Do you want to take a guess?
I know who finished last. I watched it.
The 12 City Man.
Yeah.
Could have done better running backwards in the whole damn race. He was, wow. Not even to talk about that one. That is not a good thing today. By the way, Irad Ortiz Jr. has now won that. There he is. Get off the damn screen. Get off of my screen, you stupid 12 horse. Ivar hit the board there. Irad Ortiz Jr. has now won this race 3 straight years. He doesn't need Colonel Liam, who got retired. He got the job done here. Lady Spikespear, I want to say checked in 4th. I think she was right there. The Ryan Hansen horse that was leading one more bid was he made a good account of himself. He held on late. There was a big wall there. I think I saw Lady Spikespear get up there for 4th though.
Good. I don't know. I'm at a loss for Gulfstream today. Yeah, listen, a Tone was definitely gettable for sure, and so was Ivar. So it's just a weird how the horse won it. That's not how I envisioned a Tone to win, but good race from a Tone. Boy, yeah, if you backed Ivar, you're just shaking your head. I thought he had it. So yeah, and that's the thing. Ivar really didn't have an excuse. He ran great, like we thought he might or would, and it just didn't have that final kick to get it done there. He was the class.
Yeah, hell of an effort from him. Especially if you owned him. The fact if you can hit the board in every grade 1 race you enter him in,
yep,
it keeps the lights on for a lot of other horses in the barn. That's for sure. Yeah, Chris Romero, maybe a touch too far. If the time is correct, the final time of 1:46.1, Aaron, that final 1/8 of a mile was 11-2 on the Gulfstream Park turf. I don't know how correct that time is, just because 11-2 is like the Baffert juice plus the Miller juice plus the Diodoro juice plus the Jamie Ness Cobra Venom all wrapped up into one, and it works. Like that is flying. We'll see if they end up adjusting those times, but just to show you again, Ivar could have won that, and the horse came from off the pace and finished at 11-2 in the final furlong. That's unbelievable. I know,
and that's the thing. It's like sometimes a horse that when they go on like a losing streak, sometimes it's just bad luck. And how I envisioned that race going was he's coming late and he can't get there, because that's usually his story. I never envisioned him taking the lead and then getting passed, and that's brutal. And I feel for people that bat him, because God, your opinion was spot on. It's just he got beat again. But listen, the best horse won. There was really no excuse. A Tone was able to get the job done. By the way, heading to Oaklawn. We're going to Oaklawn. The King Cotton Gun Knight's getting ready to run. So we're going to turn the page and we're going to talk about this race. So
let's go over here real quick. Yeah, we'll come back to the Pegasus Turf. We've got an hour till the Pegasus World Cup, everybody. So what race is it at Oaklawn here, so I can speed this up? Race 8? Oh, they're off.
They are off. They just broke from the gate. And our old buddy Garhole has been sent to the front. So Garhole is in the lead with Gunite stalking in second. Flash of Mischief, the horse that won the local prep with this with ease, sitting right there in third. As you see, it is still raining, but it isn't raining quite as hard as it was. We will see what happens here. Garhole going to spin him in with the lead. Can the Arkansas bred hold off Gunite? That's going to be the question.
So 7-5 morning line Gunite goes off at 3-5. A horse that if he was in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, we thought maybe had a strong chance to win. He went to the dirt mile and didn't embarrass himself there. He's ranging up on old Garhole, but Garhole's very much in hand. I will say, I did single Gunite in my pick 3 here that ends with Arabian Night. Let's see what he's able to do. There's the one horse, Diano Twist, is coming with a flurry, but I don't think he's going to catch Gunite.
Yeah,
Switch your leads. Switch your leads.
They're getting busy on Gunite here. He's trying, Magic. He's trying everything to get him to switch. He's not doing it. It ain't going to matter.
Doesn't matter.
The best horse in this race by far.
So that's two straight races that we've covered here live where the winner just never changed leads and it didn't matter. If I'm the second place horse or the supporter of that horse, it's like a little bit of salt in the wound. It's like, got beat by a horse that couldn't even figure out which leg to run on in the stretch.
Yeah, but he's just way, way better than everybody else. So it didn't matter. So yeah, it's like I said, I alluded to it. It's the tale of two tracks, right? So at Oaklawn, I've now hit 4 on top winners in a row. Beat a heavy favorite in the Martha Washington, 10-1 winner in the next race. Of course, 2 favorites there. So then you get Gulfstream, right? And there's Somich. Somich, how you doing? How you living?
Hey, we got one right there. We finally got a tone. We got somebody home, so it's nice to get a tone there. Got 6-1 down from the 12-1 morning line. It's IRAD's world right now. We're all just living in it.
What did you think about that ride on Rosario with City Man? They had to literally back him into the gate, and then he was in the back the entire way and never picked up his feet.
There's a reason why I didn't put City Man on top. It was not just the 12 post. It was also the jockey coming out of the 12 post there. I was tough, man. What are you going to do from that 12 spot? I thought Ivar actually ran really well from the 10 post, but I was shocked that Tone was able to get the job done from off the pace today. I thought that was one of the keys. I thought he had to go gate to wire to win, able to get to kind of sit that trip there in the pocket and then sweep out wide around the turn. I thought he gave him a great ride. A little disappointed in Lady Spitespear. I thought she was in a great position, just couldn't finish the job.
Maybe facing the males.
Lady Spitespear was going to have it. Like, did you think? Because we were watching live, we thought Lady Spitespear's got this.
I thought she was going to win by open lengths in the backstretch because she was sitting too wide behind horses. I knew she could get around. So as long as she had a good kick there, she should have had a great trip. And she was able to get wide, but then just didn't have it. And then you saw a Tone wheel outside of her and just get the job done.
Go ahead, man.
You brought up Ivar. Yeah, Lady Spitespear, they just made it official. She did get 4th. It was a Tone first, Ivar 2nd, then the 7th, Speaking Scout 6th, Lady Spitespear. 5 one more bid held on. Were you surprised to see Mike Smith and the California horse not only go to the lead like that, but hold on and be part of that big wall in the finish?
Yeah, I was. I mean, it felt like the only option there was to go, but then you got Mike Smith aboard, so you're not sure if you're really going to press that option and send. Once you had one more bid out there, though, it did. I wasn't shocked he was able to hold. I mean, this turf course has been playing so well towards speed. And one more bid didn't have any pressure around the backstretch, so it's able to kind of gallop along a couple low these, but able to kind of keep up because of that pace edge. So I wasn't shocked we rounded up a super high 5 there, but again, that's what made me surprised about a Tone. A Tone able to do this when the best races we've seen from a Tone have been gate to wire wins. Was able to come from off the pace today, sit in 3rd and able to pound. So you got to give credit there to IRAD for pulling the horse back, riding a good race, getting the horse into the open with that kick. And, you got to give credit to Smith. At least he sat and won there. Magic, you got to be proud of California here. Horses running both 3rd and 5th in the Pegasus World Cup Turf.
Well, and then we had a California horse win the Pegasus filly Mare Turf. Listen, they said in the offseason that they tore up the turf course at Gulfstream, and they wanted to install a cushion just like they have at Santa Anita. Santa Anita and Gulfstream owned by the same people. I think we just got Santa Anita East out there. Just send all the California horses to the turf in Gulfstream. They're going to win, baby.
Hey, man, if Mike Smith's on the lead, anything can happen, right?
I do want to shout out, I did find it. Ed Burke was asking way before the race. A Tone ended up being the lowest in the daily doubles and 3rd lowest in the pick 3. So it was a big tip-off that 12-1 was a pipe dream. As an Atone supporter, I was nervous that I saw 7-2. I thought he's being way over bet. That's not a good sign. It paid off. Were you nervous, or did that make you more confident in him?
It went down to 7-2. I didn't even realize it went down to 7-2. I was doing a different live stream. I thought we got 6-1. That's crazy. 7-2 is a nuts price on a Tone there. I mean, I was shocked at Ivar's price too. I couldn't believe City Man was the favorite, especially what we've seen from Rosario today. And if you go back, you watch City Man's last race, absolute dream trip up the rail. You knew Rosario wasn't going to be able to pull that off 2 times in a row here on City Man. So surprised Ivar went off at the price he did. Surprised the Tone went off at 7-2. That was a little short for a Tone in that race.
Is Ivar ever going to win one of these grade 1 races again? That horse was just, man, he tried so hard. And if a Tone doesn't run 11-2, in the final furlong there. Ivar gets the job done. Is he just like a sore luck loser, like always going to be the bridesmaid at this point?
He's got to find the right field, and if the trip isn't like how he wins, he needs to have the best kick and go by. You kind of have to worry that he's a pack animal more than a dominant animal at this point, because we've seen it's just consistently running seconds, not what you want from these big time horses. So it's going to be tough for Ivar to win one of these big grade ones. And I'll tell you this, I won't be on him whenever he does, because he's going to consistently get bet too. You're going to see these 3-1 prices. So be the favorite in a couple spots. It's really, really hard, especially over a mile. I think that's a great call by everyone in the chat there talking about how he's better at a mile. Anything over a mile, it's tough to take a short price on Ivar at this point, because he doesn't want to win. And he's just better at a mile than he is these longer distances.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know you mentioned you're doing the America's Best Racing live stream. By the way, you got to meet Summer Rae. Did you get her to sign anything for Dr. Ting?
I did not. Dr. Ting's texted me a couple times today asking for it. I think he sent me an act figure, but I left it at home, unfortunately.
WWE Diva legend Summer Rae on the set for America's Best Racing Live. But Mike, thanks for tuning in. Are we going to see you again before the Pegasus World Cup, or do you want to give your picks out now?
I am not sure, so I'll just give them out now. I don't know the odds right now, to be honest with you. Can we get some odds updates there? Do we have them on the board?
Defunded right now is second choice at 5-2. Cyberknife 7-5. White Abario 5-1. I know you liked him. Simplification 38-1. Skippy Longstocking 11-1.
I'm going to stay away from Cyberknife. I'm going to leave Cyberknife out of the triple here. Give me White Abario, the 4, over Defunded, the 5, over the 7, Skippy Longstocking, and the 1 Proxy in the Super.
I got bad news for you. Joel Rosario is riding Proxy. They haven't made a jockey change yet, so maybe in the next 45 minutes that'll change.
Due.
But
he's due to not be terrible, right? Just one time. Don't be terrible, Joel, because it's been a bad day. It's been the wrong side of the bell curve all day.
Yeah, we had.
I could probably see him here in a second.
Rosario,
I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty close to where the. Here, I'll flip this around real quick so everyone can see where I am. So we're set up. Here's the paddock right here. We're set up right in here. There's the feed. And then there's, I think that's the Gulfstream one. TBG's right over here. But we're gonna get, we'll get Joel right over here. I can scream at him when he gets up on Proxy. Tell him, hey buddy, save some ground. Don't go a million wide. Maybe don't get in trouble in an 8-horse field, 7-horse field like you did with Wakanaka.
Just tell him like whatever your instinct tells you to do the opposite of that.
Yes, George Costanza.
Yeah, maybe I could switch for him here. Maybe he could go live on the feed and I'll take them out. I think Proxy would have a better shot. Be 100 pounds over, but he would probably have a better shot.
All right. Well, good luck to you, buddy. If we get you back before the Pegasus, we'd love to have you. If not, keep going with the coverage. I'm sure it's the second best live coverage at Gulfstream happening right now. But we're glad you came to the top one, and we'll see you again after the race.
Cheers, gentlemen. Have a good one.
See ya.
There's a lot more booze in that cup there than it was before. I think he got himself a couple refills into one there. Laurie Switzer, can you repeat Mike's? But yeah, Mike's audio is a little off there. He liked White Abario over. What was it? Over Defunded over Skippy Longstocking. Did I get that right?
Sure.
He didn't like Simplification, and I know he likes Skippy in third, and White Abario is his top pick here. Safi still stone cold. I'm watching right now the replay of the stretch run here. Boy, the 11 and the 12, but neither one of them picked their feet up a little bit. Masterpiece, yeah, he just had nothing. He was part of that big wall that was trying to get up there for fifth there. Yeah, actually, you know what? I think he got sixth or seventh there, so not too bad. Boy, what a race! What a race! Yeah, up is down, left is right. Rosario, that's the truth right there. Yeah, Chris says, "Are you next to the valet?" Joel should try his luck at that. The way he's been riding horses, you want Joel Rosario parking your car? I mean, my Fiat is beat to shit, and I wouldn't want him touching that thing right now.
In his defense, I don't really blame him for City Man. That was just kind of, that horse didn't show up. But Yeah, it's bad right now, but he'll probably come win with proxy now at 7-1.
Yeah. All right. So we've got 37 minutes to the Pegasus here. Oaklawn Gun Knight gets the win. I'm alive in that pick 3. Ooh, that was nice. Let's see. We've got an allowance race coming up at Gulfstream. So we got the Southwest after that. So if you are watching us, we're going to do the Pegasus World Cup, and then right after that is the Southwest Stakes, $750,000 purse. Grade 3 Kentucky Derby prep race. Arabian Night for Bob Baffert is the even money favorite. Arabian Night, that super impressive debut winner to open Saturday of Breeders' Cup at Keeneland there. So if you can, stick with us here. Car says you're driving a Fiat, you would think him. Actually, yeah, I might. That thing is it runs really well, and all I ever have to do is drive to daycare to pick my kid up in it. That's the only time it ever leaves the garage. But yeah, maybe he can put it into the wall for me or something like that. You get the insurance money for it.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, we're also going to cover Barber Road. He's going to run an allowance race in 18 minutes.
Oh, so he's in that race. Okay.
Well. Yeah. So we don't have to talk about that race, but I'll give you an alert when they're getting in the gate.
Perfect. Well, we got time to kill. We can do this a couple of times because I'm sure we're going to gain a bunch of followers and viewers here as the feed goes on. By the way, if you haven't yet, if you're joining us now, thank you so much for joining us. We do these big live shows on the big racing days. We did it last week for Fairgrounds, and things worked out pretty well for everybody who was betting along with us. Hopefully, we can keep that going for you here in the Pegasus World Cup with one race left. But we'll be back for all of the big races on the big race weekends on Saturdays leading up to and including the Kentucky Derby and Triple Crown. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/racingdudes, and do us a favor, hit like on the YouTube or thumbs up on Facebook if you're watching us that way. It'll do us a world of good in getting more people's eyes on us, and we can get more people involved in the chat and the fun. All right, Gulfstream Park, race 13, the 13th and final race here, going to mile 8 on the dirt, $3 million Pegasus World Cup. Let's go through the field. We'll start with Proxy, a horse that, but if you were like me and you like to fade him in every single graded stakes race he was in, you've still been right. You just were finally wrong last time out in the Cigar Mile. Over this distance at Churchill Downs, Mike Stidham, the trainer, Godolphin, the owner and breeder, they're very confident that he's running the best he's ever been. But is his best going to be good enough to win the Pegasus here, Aaron? And we'll ask Darby as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Darby, mom's out walking the dog, and Darby's not happy. But, yeah, I don't think so. I think he's just a little bit of a cut below. There you go. There she is. She's right there. It's a little bit of a cut below. She's watching her outside. A little bit of a cut below the top horses in here. I give him credit. He did win the Clark. Good job there. But that field just was not much whatsoever. I just don't think he's going to be quite good enough in this spot here. 7-1. Maybe you're getting the right price on him, but he's just going to have to get a little bit better. Anytime he's been in a race of this caliber, he hasn't been able to get the job done.
Yeah, he's a great one. Well, shit, the way Rosario's been riding today. I know Mike Somich was on here. He had Proxy in fourth. A horse that you can almost always trust to hit the board. Has actually done it 11 of 13 career starts. And, he scratched off the Louisiana Derby when they experimented. The 2 times he wore blinkers, the only 2 times he didn't hit the board, and he finished fourth. So a horse that is, a win, 3 seconds and 2/3 in 6 tries at the distance. But you just can't be confident betting him, especially even at 7-1 with Rosario in the irons. You really can't be confident. But maybe this is the time Rosario says, "I lulled y'all to sleep, and now I'm going to cash in big when it matters." Number 2, Simplification, a horse that is a couple of the horses in here that love Gulfstream Park. This horse is 3 for 7, never missed the board at Gulfstream Park. Last time out in the Harlan's Holiday, the local prep for this, he was 3rd, but he was a well-beaten 3rd, and that's kind of been his MO dating back to the Florida Derby. He's there on the board. He's just way back there on the track.
Yeah, I just don't know what to make of this horse. I think he kind of caught a couple of fields that weren't too good, and he was able to get the job done. I can't support him. I just can't support him in any way here. The last time out in the local prep for this, he wasn't bad, but again, he just was kind of the same that he always is. He kind of just runs that race where it's like, yeah, he's up there 3rd or 4th.
Jeff J in the chat saying, great point. He's a lot like Mr. Big News. That horse always kind of shows up. You can't really bet him to necessarily win, but he does like to show up here. A huge step up for him. His last few tries at the Grade 1 level, he was third in the Florida Derby. He was actually a really nice fourth in the Kentucky Derby. Should be third. Well, I want to say that he was third behind Epicenter and Zandon. But then after that, the Preakness wasn't a good effort for him. Pennsylvania Derby, not a great effort for him either, though he was only ahead behind Cyberknife in third there. Number 3, riding with Biden. Trainer Butch Reed has got him in here, a horse that's won 3 of its last 4. But this is a massive step up from, facing the Parks horses and Tough Tickets, Looking at Ross, Logico, Brooklyn Strong. A little bit different company here, Aaron.
It is. It definitely is a little bit tougher here. I think going to try to just get to the front. We'll see what he does from a pace standpoint. Like he could be a pace player in here, but not maybe a player when the actual running begins or for your betting. But I think you have one choice, don't you, Magic? Don't you have to go if you're the 3? And I think that's what he'll do, and we'll see if he can do anything up front. I don't think he'll be able to stay around. When the real running begins, I don't think he'll be around.
No, and I would have had more confidence if the jockey aboard him his last 4 starts, Paco Lopez, was here. Paco is actually going to be riding the 2 Simplification, and it doesn't ride that often for trainer Antonio Sano, so I think it's pretty telling that that's where he ends up. The number 4, Mike Somich's top pick in here, 10-1 morning line, currently 6-1. That's the 4, White Abarrio, a perfect 4 for 4 at Gulfstream Park. If you're watching this here on YouTube right there, that's White Abarrio on the Racing Dudes Triple Crown Fantasy League belt. Got him right there, front and center, just off to the side. Won the Florida Derby, the Holy Bull. After that, things kind of went a little bit sad. He had a great effort, I thought, last time out in Cigar Mile. The Remsen Stakes day, Aaron, and you remember this, the inside 1.5 lanes there was just a bog, and you could not make up any ground. That's where he was stuck. Just misses winning that Grade 1 race. You would think second off the layoff back at his home track, he's got to take a step forward, right?
Yeah, that was his best race in a while, I thought. He had kind of lost form in kind of a big way there. That was his best race in a while. He definitely seems to be rounding into form a little bit. I'm a little bit concerned, though, that he just might not be good enough. I know people are saying, hey, he's back at home. He loves Gulfstream. And my point on that was, yeah, he might love Gulfstream, but he might love the competition he's faced at Gulfstream. That could be what it is. I do think he's going to show up here with an improved effort than what those races were during the summer when he was just nowhere to be found. I think he's got a big shot. I'm not surprised he got bet down. 6-1 is probably where he should land in this spot.
He's been working very well over the track, too. Lots of nice quick works over the Gulfstream Park. At the actual track, not the training track there. You talked about real quick, though, who he was beating. He beat Simplification multiple times. He did beat Mo Donegal in the Great Thea Holy Bowl. Mo Donegal was the Belmont Stakes winner, the Wood Memorial winner. Could have been one of the best 3-year-olds on dirt. It's too bad he was injured. We could have seen him have a really fantastic 2022. But remember, in that race, first of all, Mount of 16th at Gulfstream, they're stopping at the 16th pole, and Mo Donegal was way back, and White Abarrio was very forwardly placed. So different pace scenario there. Maybe things change up a little bit. I like White Abarrio's chances here. If a 6-1, he is taking some money, but I think 6-5-1 is about what you'll get. So if you do like him, like Mike Somich has him on top, you're going to get a decent price on him here. Next up, the 5 Defunded. Currently still second choice. 2-1 on Defunded for trainer Bob Baffert, who has won this with Mucho Gusto and Arrogate. I saw someone make a great point that Arrogate won the first running in 2017. 3 years later, Mucho Gusto in 2020. Or 3 years later again, Irad Ortiz Jr. is hopping aboard. What do you think about Defunded?
It's funny. He won with Arrogate, who was a monster, obviously, at that time. And he won with Mucho Gusto, who's never been described as that. Defunded's probably in the middle. He's probably better than Mucho Gusto was. He's definitely not as good as Arrogate. This is the test. We don't really know what he is, right? He's been out in California. He's faced some, for California, some decent fields, but that older division out in California, it's a little sketchy. Country Grammar, yeah, he's okay, whatever. But this is his big test. But listen, you got Baffert. You've got a horse that likes to go to the front. You've got Irad Ortiz aboard, who's just winning like crazy. I tell you what, I think Defunded's got a shot in this spot. I definitely wouldn't want to leave him off. I think he's going to run a pretty nice race.
For me, the reason I didn't end up using him in my ticket, I just is who he beat, who he's been facing. Country Grammar, he beat him in the Awesome Again Stakes. Stole that Gates of Wire on the front end. Country Grammar was a big favorite. Country Grammar's form was starting to dip at that point, and that was kind of in the middle of his dip. So I didn't love that I saw that out of him. And then, who did he really beat in the Native Diver? He could have gone, remember, from the Awesome Again. That was a Breeders' Cup winning year in for the Classic. And Baffert was on record saying this horse, I don't trust him shipping. So we ship him to Florida. Baffert didn't join him, and that may have been a little bit of a telling thing, but we'll see what happens there. Number 6, Art Collector, making his final career start, son of Bernardini. A horse that's been, very serviceable, has won a ton of money, and that's a lot thanks to winning the Charlestown Classic 2 years in a row. But a good horse, you'd love to see if Luis Saez was staying aboard him, though, right? Like Luis Saez has been aboard 7 of his last 8 starts, and he hops off for someone else here.
Yeah, and that's a red flag. Also, not a good race last time out in the Lucas Classic, so that's kind of a red flag. But I think he'll show up with a decent effort here. It just seems like when he gets into the toughest types of fields, he's not quite good enough to get the job done. So I have respect for Art Collector. I like him as a horse. I don't love him in this spot.
I would agree with you on that one. Number 7, Skippy Longstocking, one of the second of 3 in here for Saffie Joseph Jr. 5-1 on the morning line. He's really cold on the board, and I'm surprised. 11-1 feels like great value on the horse that won the local prep, the Harlan's Holiday, that seemed to be trending upward. And by the way, the Harlan's Holiday stakes win for him. That was his first race in 3 months, Aaron. He beat Simplification pretty handily. One knock possibly against him is that Irad isn't going to ride. He's going to be on Defunded. To me, that more feels like Irad committed to Defunded a while ago, and Jose Ortiz, his brother, is going to hop aboard here. Jose Ortiz has been riding, when the horses show up for him, he's been riding pretty well today, so I don't think it's a drop down here. 11-1, is this going to be a long shot bomb pick here?
I'm shocked at the price. I thought this horse would get back down a little bit more than this. Listen, he's shown up in some big spots and hasn't embarrassed himself, and he looked really good off the layoff last time out over this track. I think he ran a race that can win or at least be very competitive in this spot today. So I think the 7, Skippy Longstocking, has a big time shot in this spot. I don't know why the odds are the way they are. Last time out, like I said, he kind of set off the pace and just kind of took over and romped. He's got the early speed to stay within range. If they go too fast, I think he can sit back just a bit. I like him here, and I like the odds a lot.
You would think that maybe it was because of the fact that, as Chris Morales says, Saffie's had like 30 starters today and none of them sniffed the wire. White Abario's taking money. Maybe it's that 4-for-4 record over the course that's doing a lot of work there. Next up, number 8, Get Her Number. This is who Luis Saez is riding instead of Art Collector for trainer Peter Miller. Missed winning the Grade 1 Cigar Mile by a head, and this is a Grade 1 winner. He did win a Grade 1 as a 2-year-old, but very inconsistent career. He's been up, he's been down. The American Pharoah might have been his highlight up until the Cigar Mile there. What do you do with Get Her Number here, Aaron?
Well, listen, I'm going to say the same thing about Get Her Number that I said about Speaking Scout in the last race. Speaking Scout was like double the odds of Wit, and Speaking Scout had beaten Wit last time out. So here we are again. Get Her Number is about triple the odds of White Abario. They finished, in a blanket basically, but Get Her Number got the nose down above White Abario for second. White Abario was third in that last race. If you like White Abario, why are you not playing Get Her Number at 21-1? The price is there. I didn't play this horse. I don't blame anybody for taking a shot. You also got to look at the allowance race to Get Her Number 1, 2 starts back. Ginobili came out of that race and won the 5th season at Oaklawn Park against a decent field. So I think Get Her Number makes sense here. The one red flag for me is the 1 1/8. I'm not sure he gets the distance. That's going to be the big question mark, but it's 21-1. So you can kind of afford to take a little bit of a risk. I don't think he gets it, but we don't know for sure that he can't. I think he's interesting at the price.
Greg Riesland in the chat's agreeing with you on this one. If you look at his form too, he's been on turf, he's been on dirt. It's like they didn't quite know where he's going to be best at, and kind of reminds me, this horse is kind of like the Cheesecake Factory in their menu. It's like if you've got this many things that you're trying to do, you're not really great at one specific thing, even though cheesecake's in your name there. So I agree with you on get her number. If you like her, if you like him at the odds, go ahead and take a shot there. Gary Barber, the co-owner of Queen Goddess, already has a big win on the card. Next up, number 9, Last Samurai for trainer D. Wayne Lucas, the coach. Called this horse dead fit after missing winning the Tinsel Stakes at the same distance at Oaklawn Park by just a neck. Made a late change when he found out that Frankie Dettori was going to be at Gulfstream Park and said, bye-bye, Bejarano. I'm going to put Dettori on this horse. What do you think about this one?
I mean, the guy's pulled off bigger upsets. Wayne Lucas, nobody's pulled off upsets like this guy. This horse, I don't like at all. I will say this about him, if we're going to talk positively about the horse. He ran fantastic, I thought, last time out at Oaklawn Park. Now, here's the caveat to it. It was the Tinsel Stakes, like you said. Bal Harbour won that race, like you said. I mean, he still lost by a neck, but he did run well that day. Also, another caveat, I had him to win that day, which means I thought he was in a really good spot. I've got him like last here. So I don't like Last Samurai at all in this spot.
No, but the excuse me. The Pegasus World Cup has produced, even in the Super, there's produced some big prices there underneath. So if you think that there's going to be a pace collapse, I think you can trust that the Last Samurai, if Dettori doesn't give up on him, is going to be coming late. And remember, Frankie Dettori's announced this is his kind of last ride, right? This will be his last year as a jockey. So he's giving it one last shot, I would assume, in a $3 million Grade 1 race with the entire racing world watching. He's going to give it his all here. Next up, your 5-2 morning line favorite and currently 8-5 favorite on the board. That's the 10 Cyberknife. Aaron, make the case for why Cyberknife is able to win despite the 10 post.
Well, he didn't have Rosario board, so that's check mark number 1. We're going to work that out, hopefully. Giroux has been riding decent the last couple of weeks, so that's good. He did win from the 10 post with Gunrunner, different horse. Look, here's the bottom line. Cyberknife's been versatile. I mean, he's won sitting off. He's won on the lead. He can kind of do whatever Florent wants. Here's what I'm confident in. If he runs back to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile race, he will win. I think that race is a little bit better than what anybody else has run. So I am very confident in his abilities. I am pretty confident Cox has this horse ready to pop. He said way back when this horse was just started 2-year-old into the 3-year-old season, the older the better. He's going to get better. Every race is going to get better than the last. And by and large, that's been the case. He has rapidly improved throughout the season. I think he's sitting on a big race. I think 1 1/8 hits him right between the eyes. I think that's how far he wants to go. I just think he's the best horse in the race. I don't love the price, but I still think it's worth it. I'm going to go. I have Cyberknife on top.
You missed the biggest trend of all. Richard Alvalar's got it here in the chat. Horses coming out of the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile win this race. 3 of your last 4 winners of the Pegasus World Cup, City of Light, Knicks Go, and then Life is Good ended up winning the Pegasus World Cup just a couple of months later. And then the 1 year where that didn't happen, that's because the top 2 finishers spun to run in Omaha Beach. They both scratched out of it in 2020, and that led to Mucho Gusto helping him get the job done. Valleys to Peaks as Cyberknife separates down the stretch. I really think that this horse, at his best, if every horse runs their best here, Cyberknife is the best horse. And Brad Cox sounds extremely confident in him. Brad Cox has 18 horses entered in the Southwest Stakes against Arabian Night. Brad Cox is here. Florent Giroux is here. Giroux breezed him last week and came off and said, boy, it's a shame we've got to retire this horse because he thinks he's still got a lot left in him. So big fan of Cyberknife with you as well, Aaron.
Yeah, and one more trend that is favoring Cyberknife. 2 out of the 6 runnings of this race were won by a horse making their last start before going off to stud, and that is what Cyberknife is doing as well. Our buddy Paul, he texted me. He's like, I don't know, that's not a great. I don't like that when they're making their last start in races. I said generally that I think that's a smart statement, and I like it. But this race kind of it creates that situation of one last dance because it's a big purse. We can still run him one more time, and then we can get right to the breeding shed and right to work right after we're done with this race. If it was in May, it'd be a lot different, but that's what they do, so it kind of creates that situation. So I think in this spot, it's not such a bad thing. Look, again, as we've gotten closer to the race, I keep getting a little bit more confident. I just think he has shown the best races out of all these.
And if you scratch off again the Mucho Gusto year, the other 3 times you mentioned, so we'll say 2 out of 5 winners of the Pegasus World Cup were making their last start. Well, Arrogate exited this and won the Dubai World Cup, a grade 1 race at the time, just about as expensive, rich as the Pegasus World Cup. Knicks Go kept winning grade 1s after that. Life is Good kept winning grade 1s after that. So either it's your last start or you're going to keep winning grade 1 races over and over as an older horse. And again, I think that falls right into Cyber Nice Laugh. 2 more here to go. Stiletto Boy, 3rd in this race last year, is exiting a 2nd place effort in the grade 2 San Antonio off of the long layoff. He did lose to Country Grammar, who was unable to catch Defunded. So you've got a little bit of a transference there happening, but Mike Smith rides him back. Mike Smith has had it between Octane and the Hooper, and then last time out with the Hanson horse that I can never remember his name in the Pegasus Turf. Smith's had some good rides here at Gulfstream. Stiletto Boy, he could hit the board.
I don't know why he's 40-1. Let's put it that way. I thought he would get bet down from this number. And it's not like he's kind of just been awful since that Pegasus where he was able to hit the board, like I said, last year at 26-1. I mean, he kind of just does what he does every time. His resume looks pretty much the same. This is 2nd off the layoff. If you come up to me and say, hey, I really think I'm going to play the Stiletto Boy underneath, I'll say, yeah, go for it. I mean, I don't get it. 40-1 is a good enough price to do it. Listen, I don't think he's good enough to win this race. I don't think he's good enough to win most of the races he enters, though, but he still hits the board in some of them.
And, traditionally there are several if not all 3 underneath the winner, at least 2 of the 3 underneath the winner in the Superfecta. They're double digits by quite a lot odds-wise. So I think Stiletto Boy, the post might not do him too many favors here, but you've got to appreciate his ability to try and hit the board and get 3rd once again. Last one here, the 12 O'Connor, the 3rd Saffie Joseph Jr. horse in Javier Castellano riding. A horse that was racing in Chile on the dirt, was a very fantastic horse down there. They brought him to Gulfstream Park, and he won first out in an allowance race, and they said they were bringing him here because the Pegasus World Cup was ultimately the goal. Harlan's Holiday didn't go so well for him here. So which version are we going to end up seeing? Is it the one that looks superb, winning that allowance race in October, or the Harlan's Holiday 4th place finisher?
Yeah, Saffie is kind of baffled on why we didn't see a little bit better performance from O'Connor. He was heavily hyped. He was favored in that Harlan's Holiday that Skippy Longstocking won impressively. So I don't have a lot of confidence in this horse. Saffie does. It's not going to be shocking if the horse jumps up and runs pretty big, but yeah, he won that allowance, but what was really in it? And then we stepped up. It's like, okay, now you got a chance to prove it. Maybe he had some excuses. He didn't run very well, though. I can't back him here. No, I'm not with him. And by the way, Barber Road getting ready to break from the gate, Magic.
Hey, let's talk about that one. Let's go look at it. Mile and the 16th allowance, $104,000. We're calling it sloppy at Oaklawn Park here, race 9. I'll go ahead and pull the Equibase here up on the screen, Aaron. Go ahead and tell us what's going on in the race as they get ready to break from the gate. Last one in is the 12. And that is going to be, Tonka Warrior. Yeah, for Matt.
All right, and they're off. And
who's the 8 horse? Cat Daddy is 8, 3, and 1. None of those are Barber Road. Okay, Shoddy, you're still good.
No, Barber Road is 3rd from last, so like normal there. By the way, there's a Lucas horse in here, Ben Diesel, at 6-1. That's pretty interesting. He's a horse that can kind of get up and run a good race every now and then. He's sitting about the 5th spot. It looks like the 7, Call Me Fast, ironically enough, in front right now.
Well, you're getting a nice weight allowance there with the 7 as well, only 116 pounds. Some other horses carrying a little heavy. Barber Road, the 5 horse, we're watching 2-1 favorite here, trailing quite a ways back, but we did see in the Martha Washington earlier, we did see a closer just close like a freight train if they've got the ability.
Yeah, I thought this was actually a spot where Barber Road can win. We're getting back a sloppy track. I think he runs well over a sloppy track, and we've got a feel today that it leaves a lot to be desired. He faced a couple of decent horses in that allowance race first time back. I think he can get the job done here today, but he's a short price and he's way behind. We're going to see if he can kind of round this field here. He's starting to get underway a little bit. Where's Lucas? Lucas is already fading, so we're going to see. We're going to see what happens here. This might get a little crazy.
Where is the 5? There he is. Boy, he's got still a wall of horses to try and get by there. Boy, Kelsey Haar's hair has gotten quite long. I think it was longer than the horse's tail in the back. Not today for Barber Road. Megan's Honor. No, not that. That's not Megan's Honor. Call Me Fast. 15-1 on the morning line. 8-1 is going to go gate to wire here.
Here comes
Unless
your
the 12
12.
Tonka Warrior catches. I think that nope. I think we got Call Me Fast going gate to wire here.
So let's talk about this race. The 7 wins this thing. It was 8-1 off a 15-1 morning line. Definitely not an unplayable horse by any stretch, but I think as the rain has come down, we are seeing a track that is favoring speed pretty heavily. This is a horse, Call Me Fast, that had never really gotten to the lead. It got in the lead maybe once, actually, now that I look back at it. Gets to the lead here, just takes him gate to wire, took it to him. You got to think whoever gets the lead, Arabian Night, Corona Bold, they're going to be really tough to catch after watching this 2-turn allowance race, which is the same distance as what we're going to see in the next race.
Well, and that next race is a Southwest Stakes, so that's why that's very important. 7, 12, 2, and 9 here. Lots of prices coming across. 10 gauge was 12-1 on the morning line for Asmussen. You know what? I did hit the all button. I went single with Gunite, all here, and Arabian Night singled in the next one. I was really hoping, sorry, Shotty, I was really hoping Barber Road wasn't going to get the win here.
Yeah, and he really doesn't have an excuse. He didn't, you might say, well, it's favoring speed horses. Well, shit, he didn't he finished like 6th, so he didn't run up into 2nd or anything like that. Wasn't his day for him. Yeah, I mean, I played a few horses, except, other than him, I'm trying to say, but the 7 just didn't cross my mind. So the streak is over at Oaklawn. But good race from that 7, taking the gate to wire there.
But you can't be good at both Gulfstream and Oaklawn at the same time. It's just not allowed. That's
well,
the real
hopefully
truth
that
here.
means I'm going to be good at Gulfstream this last race.
And we both like Cyberknife in that spot. Richard Alvarez, anybody see Todd Schrupp today? I'm guessing he's wearing a lot of orange. No. I stopped watching TVG a while ago. It was a little too tough for me to watch. I'll be quite honest there. Barber Road, maybe, I think he talked about it. The 7 went gate to wire here, and speed continues to hold really well in the slop. I just was up against it from a pace perspective. Barber Road's a dead set closer. I don't know if you're a Barber Road supporter like Shotty, you still feel good about him moving forward?
No, you can never feel good about Barber Road ever. I mean, even if he wins today, I don't feel good about him moving forward. He's not very good. That's all there is to it. And that's inaccurate. He didn't get 3rd. He got like 5th or 6th this time around. He's just not. He's not any good.
Oh, well, maybe next time.
What race are you going to enter him in where he's going to win?
Hey, listen, he shows up in the Razorback. No, not the Razorback. Oaklawn Handicap. That's where he'll end up getting the job. That's the mile and an 1/8 race, right?
Okay. I don't think he'll get the job done there either, but okay.
Maybe. By get the job done, I mean it'd be part of the Superfecta. That's what I'm talking about there.
Yeah. Well, he ran better last time than he did this time. So this was 2nd off the layoff, and he just didn't fire. He took advantage of a pretty weak bunch at Oaklawn. Now, he did run a pretty big Arkansas Derby. I'll give him that.
Apparently, wow. 25. Oh, there we go. It updated it on me again. 9 minutes to post for the Pegasus World Cup. The Jonas Brothers apparently were the ones in the paddock doing riders up. My sister-in-law and mother-in-law probably very excited by that one if they were paying attention, but we're not. They're not. Doesn't matter. Are you a Jonas Brothers fan, Aaron?
I'm not a hater. I wouldn't say I was a fan. Like, if somebody gave me a free ticket, I don't think I'd go see him. But
for a free ticket?
No, I wouldn't go. No.
Oh man, I'd go. But I'm also like, I'm a cheap date. You give me a free ticket. I once took a free ticket to go see Filter. You remember the early aughts alt band Filter?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
That's the one time I regret taking a free ticket to go see something. We left halfway through the concert. That was really bad.
I probably wouldn't take a free ticket to go to that one either.
No, wouldn't recommend it. All right, we're going to take a quick break here just because I got to go to the bathroom and we got to get a little bit of a refill here. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and play Aaron's preview from the website. If you missed it, youtube.com/racingdudes and racingdudes.com. Aaron's preview for the Pegasus World Cup, talking about it. We'll go ahead and play that here, and we'll be back on the other side of it. Enjoy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to RacingDudes.com and welcome to the main event of the week and one of the main events on the racing season each and every year. It is the Pegasus World Cup. We're back at Gulfstream Park this Saturday, January 28th. It's going to be an amazing 13-race card, with the Pegasus being the 13th race on that card. Going a mile and an eighth, $3 million purse. Racing Dudes have always been a big fan of the Pegasus. It's a great day of racing to add on this January, where it used to kind of be a little bit quiet in January. Now we got a big-time race. Listen, last year we had Life is Good versus Knicks Go. It was an incredible race, a huge match race, if you want to call it that, or whatever. And it lived up to it. I mean, Life is Good with a brilliant performance, one we talked about all year long. This year, well, we don't have that headliner, but we do have a field of 12. It is the most competitive Pegasus I have ever handicapped without any question. We also have two also eligibles in there as well. Well, let's get to it. I think it's going to be a hell of a race. I think you could go 4 or 5 deep in here, make a case for several of them. I did end up putting number 10 Cyberknife on top. I am a bit worried about the post position, but his sire Gunrunner did win from the 10 hole when he was here at the Pegasus World Cup way back when. However, Cyberknife is not Gunrunner, but he is a very nice horse. And the big thing for him and why I think he's going to be able to overcome this post, he has shown he can go to the lead, he can sit just off the pace, he can even kind of come from off of it. I like that with Cyberknife. He kind of is versatile. He can do a lot of different things. I think they'll work out a trip because he seems just to be a horse that he's okay with doing whatever they're going to ask him to do here. So I will put Cyberknife on top. It was tough, though. The other horse I considered to put on top and nearly did it was a number 5 Defunded, shipping in from California for Bob Baffert. This horse picks up Irad Ortiz Jr. as far as the rider today. I think that's a really good sign. The horse is doing well. He's won 2 straight races out in California at Santa Anita and Del Mar. Both of them have been in this distance, and both of them have been fairly easy for him. I do think this is going to be a step up in competition compared to what we've seen him been facing in those last 2 races. And that's going to be the big question mark for me. Can he step up in class here and get the job done? I think it's yes. I think he's got a much better post at 5 than Cyberknife at 10. I would be afraid to play, play a ticket without Defunded in this spot. I really think he's one you're going to have to use. I think he can get out to the front and make things difficult for pretty much everybody else in the race. So number 5 Defunded, I put in second. As far as 3rd and 4th, I've kind of flip-flopped, kind of interchangeable. It's the 2 Safi Joseph runners that I think are going to finish 3rd and 4th. Horses you need to use here. Number 4 Wida Barrio, the first one I'm going to talk about. Horse is training very well. He's back at Gulfstream Park for the first time since winning the Florida Derby over this track in what was his best career race. Now the bad news is he has not won since that start. The good news, this probably is one of the easier spots he's been in, believe it or not. He went to the Kentucky Derby, and then he came out of that Kentucky Derby, and he ran 2nd in the Ohio Derby. Now, that was probably an easier spot than this one. That's where he kind of missed his mark, per se. But, Haskell Stakes, it didn't run very well, but that was a really good field. Pennsylvania Derby didn't run very well, also a really good field. And last time out in Cigar Mile, got 3rd, only beaten a half length. He ran really, really well. Looks like he's rounding back into form. The reason I couldn't put him on top, he's matched up against Cyberknife a lot. He really hasn't been close to beating him. I know the conditions are different here. I just think if they fire their best race, Cyberknife is a little bit better than Wida Barrio. However, I got to use Wida Barrio on a ticket as well. I think the horse is coming into this well. I think he's going to run good. It's just a matter of how good. So I do have Wida Barrio, the 4 horse, in 3rd. And then I'll talk about Skippy Longstocking, the 7 horse. I picked him to win the Harlan's Holiday. Was really excited about him that day. He got it done. He looked great. It's a situation, again, he's had chances, to beat and to win big-time races, and he hasn't quite been able to do it, including, getting beat by Cyberknife and others in the Pennsylvania Derby. The Belmont Stakes, he was good, but he just wasn't quite good enough to win it. That's how I feel about him. I hate saying it because I really have grown to love Skippy Longstocking. I'm a little skeptical he's good enough to win a race like the Pegasus World Cup. Even though it's not a star-studded lineup, I don't know if he can beat a horse like Wida Barrio, a horse like Cyberknife, a horse like Defunded. However, I've got him on a ticket. That's the 4th horse in for me. number 7, Skippy Longstocking. So to review, number 10, Cyberknife on top for me. Number 5, Defunded in second. Number 4, Wyatt Barrio third. And number 7, Skippy Longstocking in fourth. Guys, I think this is an incredible race, and I think there's a lot of different ways you can go here. I can't talk you off a lot of horses. Last year, if you come to me and say, hey, I'm picking Stiletto Boy to win the Pegasus World Cup, probably would have slapped you and said, please don't do that. Either go Life is Good or Nick's Go, one of the two. We were lucky enough to have Life is Good last year in that, quote unquote match race. It ended up being a route for Life is Good. Hopefully we get lucky again here. Again, you can go a lot of different ways. Not going to talk you off anybody. It's a wide open field. I think it's going to be a hell of a race, like I said. But in the end, it could not go against number 10 Cyberknife. I think he's just a smidge better than the rest of these. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for watching this preview. Go ahead, hit the like button if you liked it. Hit subscribe if you really liked it. Want to get alerted anytime we do race previews like this. Most importantly, though, thanks for watching and good luck if you're playing Gulfstream Park on Saturday.
All right, Aaron, we're back. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us there for a little bit there. I'll turn the music off.
I was like, what is it?
We got the something I put Magic Mike theme, but I don't remember that one before, so we'll figure that one out later. We got 1 minute to post here for the Pegasus World Cup. I'll go ahead and pull the Equibase entries back up here on the screen. Let us know in the chat if you're watching. What do you think about this race? Who do you like? What's going on here? I know a lot of people in the chat. I love for Skippy Longstocking. Jeff J and Dennis Kaler both on Art Collector here. Boy, if you like Art Collector, you're going to be getting a hell of a price on him. That's the Oaklawn Park one. Oops, I picked up the wrong one. Hold on. And it was like, wait a minute, Barber Road. That's not right. He's not in this race. There we go. Art Collector, 19-1. You've got him there. Greg Gleason's been our eye in the sky, so to speak, letting us know who looks the best. He called out Queen Goddess earlier today. He likes Cyberknife and the 7 Skippy Longstocking. He's going to go at those horses with the funded there. Cindy plays horses. He's going to go Cyberknife over Proxy Simplification and White Barrio. Dominic Chang going with the big bomb, 20-1 on Get Her Number. Last thoughts on this race, Aaron, before we get going.
I think, like I said in the video, I think it's just a really fun race, really competitive. It was fun to handicap this one because it was wide open and you could kind of let your mind go down a few different avenues here as far as who you thought could win. I still stand by. I think Cyberknife is the best horse. He's had the best performances coming in. And I think Skippy's the one that's getting better, Skippy Longstocking and Wyatt Barrio. And then you've got the Baffert horse Defunded. I will say this, and we talked about a tone, and the tone got bet down and won. I don't think Defunded should be 5-2. I certainly think he can win. He can take a gate to wire. I don't think 5-2 is the right price on that horse.
It feels like it's a combination of a horse that's won 2 straight races on the front end. You got Irad, but it's really, I think a lot of that's the Bob Baffert factor. And this would be, he won in 2017, won in 2020. This would continue the trend for him if he's able to succeed there. Give us a trifecta. Give us your, is it the same thing as what you had in the video there?
Yeah, I like the 10. And I would go something like, let's go 7-10 over 5-7-10 over 4-5-7-10. Oh
boy, there you go. All right, let us know in the chat who you like. Boy, you and Greg are going to be on the same horses here. Cyberknife looks good. They got him on the screen right now. Florent Giroux has had himself a really good day today too. He picked up the mount on Wolfie's Dynaghost, and the horse, all he did was win the Carousel Club for the 2nd straight year. So that was a really heads up ride from him. He loves this horse. Everything is with his career right now is kind of been centered around Cyberknife. So very important to Flo that he gives him a good ride here. Get Her Number wearing the blinker is a bright pink there, including the Gary Barber silks. White Barrio, he seems pretty excited to be back home in Florida. Listen, if I was running the slop in New York in December and then showed up back here in sunny Florida, I'd be pretty damn happy too. The Art Collector fans, he's shaking his head. He's nodding his head up and down a lot. So you got that going for him as well. Oh boy. Let me ask you this. Your favorite Pegasus? They're still circling around so people can get their last bets in. What's been your favorite Pegasus so far in the last 6 years?
Honestly, it's been a special race for me because we were at the very first one, and that was great. That's probably my favorite. Arrogant winning was was really special. I loved last year. I wasn't there, but Life is Good versus Knicks Go and the hype for that. I'd have to put it number 2. And then Gunrunner. I literally was standing right on the rail about 50 yards down from the finish line. And all we had heard that week is Gunrunner can't win from the 10 post. And by the time he got to me, he was already on the rail. I looked at Jared and said, go to the window and start standing in line because all of our Gunrunner tickets are cashing. There is no way he will lose. So I would rank that one third. But I'd go Arrogant, Life is Good, and Gunrunner.
I'll swap those around. I agree with you and with Richard Alvalar. Favorite Pegasus for me, Arrogate. Remember, that was the rematch with him and with California Chrome. And it was Chrome's last start, and he just never really picked up his feet. Arrogate dominated and then went from there to the Dubai World Cup, which I thought was his best effort that he ever had in his career. And then I thought that the Gunrunner one was just super special too, because he had lost to or he had won the Breeders' Cup Classic, the race before, and they gave him one more start to go, and he really had just had a solid, not just season but career. He hadn't always won every race, but boy, he danced all the big dances and was such a fun horse, a special horse. I wasn't lucky like you to be there to see it in person. And the Life is Good. It was kind of like the Gunrunner race. The second they broke from the gate, you went, it's over. It's over. Like Knicks Go was in that race. He just won the race the year before and was coming off of winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. And Life is Good right out of the gate. It's over. Go stand in line. Get ready to start cashing your tickets on him because that was pretty good.
It's weird because 3 of these Pegasus, Life is Good and definitely Gunrunner, in a moment you knew it was over, and the other one is Arrogant. When Arrogant made one, when they just barely asked him and he started to make the move, I'll never forget it because California Chrome was in that race, supposed to be a big rematch. When they shook the reins and Arrogant just made one little move, I looked at Jared and said, this race is over. He was just like that, was just flying by horses. I said, there is nobody in the world that can beat him. And he makes that kind of move. Then Gunrunner, you knew it was over right out the break too. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. People really, really wanted to beat Gunrunner that year because of the draw. And it was a lost cause for sure.
All right, let's play project the pace scenario here. And Rosario is not a speed horse, so we might actually get this right. Who do you think leads into the first turn? And is it one horse? Is it 2 horses? How do you see it happening early?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Defunded gets the lead, and I think riding with Biden is right out there with him. And I think Art Collector's got to try to go out there with him as well. So I think those are the 3 horses, but I would say Defunded's going to have this lead going into that first turn. And you hope if you're supporting some of those outside horses like a Cyberknife, you don't get hung too wide there. That's going to be the big 2 keys to look for.
We'll see if Riding with Biden pulls an Agitaire from the McKnight Stakes and is a little slow out of the gate and says, no, I'm going to steal this lead and I'm going to piss off Luis Saez in the process, trying to get there. All right, last horse going to the gate. Good luck if you're playing the Pegasus World Cup. We'll let you know what happens here. They're off. Not a good start for the 3. The 5, the 11 there. Stiletto Boy wants the lead. Cyberknife's going to tuck in about a little bit behind mid-pack there. Maybe not the spot we necessarily wanted to see him in, but Stiletto Boy leads. He's going to have Wade Barrio, Defunded, and Art Collector all flanking him through that first turn, Aaron.
Well, if you're worried about Cyberknife going wide, he's not. He was too wide, so they did a good job getting him over. He's not in a terrible spot, a little bit further back than you want, but it's not bad. Yeah, Stiletto Boy going to take the lead, and it looks like we're just going to see Defunded stock. They've got a hold of Defunded. They don't want him going right now, so yeah, Stiletto Boy going to try to take him gate to wire.
Pretty good hold. I don't know how much good it'll do him, but pretty good hold on Cyberknife right now on the backstretch. Wade Barrio is saving all the ground there on the rail right behind Stiletto Boy. He's in a good spot. They're very tightly packed here. 23-3 for the opening quarter, 47-3. So they went pretty much 24 flat. Boy, Mike Smith gets on the front end. And he slows them down in the backstretch. It's like classic Mike Smith maneuvers here. But Defunded looks like he's going to come up and range up and get first run on him.
Yeah, and really no excuse for any of the horses that I've seen watching it live. Cyberknife's got everything his way. He's got a shot. Skippy's right there. All the big players are there. It's just going to be who's going to run now. Gosh, it seems like Defunded's got a perfect spot right here if he's good enough. Who's this to the outside? Is that Is that Art Collector?
That's Art Collector,
Is
boy. Art Collector's got the lead off the far turn in the Pegasus World Cup. $5 if you had that one.
He's gonna win
Art
it.
Collector might run away with this, Aaron. And I think
gone.
Dennis
Art Collector's gone.
I think Dennis Kaler and anybody else who supported Art Collector, wow. Of all the horses making their final career start in the Pegasus World Cup, did not expect it to be Art. And it's by open lengths.
Yep.
It's going to be Art Collector, Defunded second, Stiletto Boy third, the top 3 early, top 3 late. Art Collector gets it done.
Yep. Art Collector gets the job done, and Stiletto Boy right there in third for the second straight year. This time at 45-1. Last year at 26-1. Boy, Art Collector, man, did he run really, really good in the spot, huh? God, that was a really good effort from him.
Hats off to Jockey Junior Alvarado, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yes.
Just got to career win 2000, I think a week or so ago. And he picks up the mount when Saez hops aboard Get Her Number, who looks like just now crossed the finish line there towards the back of the pack. Irad gave him a big fist bump for beating him. Defunded ran well. Boy, we did not see Art Collector doing that, did we?
No, and especially to see him just gallop away from there and just run away from the rest of them, but gosh, it seemed like there were horses there. They were getting ready to wind up and they just hit the wall, but not him. He just tipped out and went crazy. And yeah, Dennis, I know you called this horse out. Great job there. Bill Derby called this horse out. Great job to you as well. Really just a fantastic race. And guys, you never really had to sweat it. You picked a 15-1 shot. There was never a worry in the stretch. I called it right when they turned for home, and they're like, "Here comes Art Collector." I was like, "Yeah, he's going to win easy." Really, really impressive race from Art Collector.
Nice big win. First Pegasus World Cup win for Bill Mott there. Boy, Cyberknife really just didn't show up, and people are saying trash. I don't think he's trash. He's not a trash horse. He just did not show up in this. Let me ask you this. He didn't even hit the top 5 there. Look at that. Stiletto Boy 45-1 and Last Samurai 50-1. You got big prices there in the superfecta. Cyberknife, was someone mentioned they thought that the 2 hard races back to back would do him in. He did lose to Cody's Wish with a hard fought battle. Did you think that had wore him out any, or you just think it just wasn't his day today?
He just didn't show up. There were a lot of horses that didn't show up. Where was White Barrio? I never even saw White Barrio. He's nowhere to be found. Skippy Longstocking was sitting right there. And I mentioned him. He looked like he's getting a range up. He did nothing. Defunded ran well, kind of stalked the pace and tried to get up there. Art Collector ran obviously very well. Boy, the rest of these horses, they just had nothing to show. Cyberknife being one of the worst, if not the worst of them. They had nothing. They just didn't make any room or did any move whatsoever.
It is interesting. The Last Samurai was there in the early mix too, stalking. You kind of had it was very much a speed favoring result in the sense that the top 4 early, I believe, or the top 4 late there. I know Last Samurai was up close. I don't know if he was top 4 early necessarily, but you really didn't see them come back. And 149-2 for the final time, not the fastest Pegasus you'll see, but Art Collector just absolutely smoked him there. I mean, hell of an effort and a hell of a training job by Hall of Famer Bill Mott, another one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Get the job done. Bruce Lunsford, the owner and the trainer of this, owner and breeder, of the horse. So if you're in the breeding game, if you've ever been part of that, if you get a horse that you breed and you own and they win, it's special. When they win a Grade 1 race worth $3 million, Aaron, it's a little bit more special. Yeah,
there's no doubt about it, man. That's said. I am very surprised that he ran that good. Again, I was not going to be shocked if anybody wins this race. I was going to be shocked if anybody kind of ran away from the field, but he buried him. I mean, he absolutely buried him on the turn. So, yeah, you can give him all the credit in the world. That was a fantastic race from Art Collector. And like I said, Junior Alvarado, such a good guy. Really happy for him as well. I've met him a few times. Really nice guy. So, that caps off a crazy day at Gulfstream. Boy, Art Collector. And now 3 out of the last 7 horses make their last start in the Pegasus. Not the one we kind of thought, well, you and I at least, but some people thought, but
Right. Yeah.
still the trend continues.
Yeah, Chris is a lot of people probably in shock there, especially when the Baffert horse at 5-2 gets second. Greg, you know what? I will firmly agree with this. No shade at all against Art Collector. Nice win for him. Glad to see him do well. Goes out on top. And when I talked about it when we were going through the field, he'd already earned $2.3 million in his career. That's going up a lot here. You're going up quite a lot there. And a horse that's very well bred, a son of Bernardini, so a grandson of the legendary AP Indy, out of a distorted humor mare. They always tend to pop well. Boy, from a breeding perspective, you're going to pay more for Cyberknife. But in this case, in this race, boy, our collector left no doubt he was the best horse, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it. No sour grapes here, man. That when a horse wins like that, you got to tip the hat. That was a really, really nice performance. Tip the hat to Art Collector, man. And I think if you like envisioned how's Art Collector going to win this, maybe he needs to go gate to wire, and that was not the case. That horse sat and just pounced. It reminded me, and I can't remember the day it was. I watched him at Saratoga once. I was there. I can't remember the race it was. That's what it reminded me of. He sat, he just waited patiently, and he romped. And that's what he did here. It was just really, really impressive. Like I said, got to tip the cap to Art Collector here. That was really impressive.
A stat that I honestly completely missed me until Kevin B said it. Art Collector is now 8 for 10 at 1 1/8 on the track. That is, I mean, at 1 1/8. I mean, and from a breeding perspective, if you see a horse that's an 8 for 10, 1 1/8, classic distances within range, you're going to have a great miler. Everything going 2 turns is going to be good there. That is great. Wow. Greg Riesland needed to fund it and just commend it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like Aaron and I were very much on Cyberknife here, and he didn't show up. Art Collector, hell of a race there. And it's nice when you see good people like Junior Alvarado and Bill Mott, who uses Alvarado as his main rider most of the time. Boy, it's good to see those guys get a nice win like this.
And if you bet defunded, you're kind of deflated for sure, because he showed up. But it's rare you don't see hardly any of the other contenders show up in a race. You just didn't, like, I'm shocked Wino Barrio didn't run a little bit, at least, and or Skippy didn't make any kind of run. Obviously, Cyberknife's the obvious one, but it's just odd that you don't see any of them really show up, except for Defunded. He did show up. He ran his race. He just wasn't good enough, but it was a good pick if you had him. Really good pick. It just Our Collector was the better pick. Just ask Dennis and Bill. They'll tell you.
Yeah, Greg says Junior's awesome. He really is. You have to search for it a little bit, but on the Racing News YouTube channel, Saratoga Slim, when he was doing his backside on the Saratoga backside, he's doing his video blogging. He talked to Junior for a while, and you can just see how genuinely nice of a person and humble he is. So that's great. Yeah, Art Collector. Michael Ellison jumps in just to say Art Collector in all caps.
I think he's jumping in to watch Arabian Night with us, I bet.
That's what he's doing, really. Yeah. We'll get there in a second. Chris Mel said Defunded ran his race. He just got beat. Hunter Hill had Stiletto Boy, win place show. You got paid on that one, buddy. He ends up paying $11.40 to show. So you for sure still got paid if you went equal money across there. And that, you know what, Cyberknife laying a total turd, that was California Chrome-esque. That was, the tank is already empty. We're not going to empty it in the race. It's already empty there. That's right. We got a lot more coming in, but you know what, Aaron? We also have 2 minutes to post to the 10th race here at Oaklawn Park. Let's segue over there. Now we got Arabian Night versus a couple of Brad Cox horses. I did see that he ended up scratching Hit Show. That horse is expected to run in the, what's the next race at Aqueduct? Whatever that next one is.
Yeah, the Withers on February 4th.
That's where you'll see the 8 Hit Show instead of here. Smart move, probably, because not only was he facing Arabian Night, he was also facing Corona Bolt and Jace's Road. They might be a little bit better than him at this point. Oaklawn, a much tougher spot usually than Aqueduct. But here we go. 8 3-year-old colts trying to get Kentucky Derby points unless they're Arabian Night. 2 for Kenny McPeak, 2 for Brad Cox. take us through this. I know you love Arabian Night. He's 1-5. So I guess maybe my first question is Arabian Night even playable at 1-5?
No, I mean it's going to be tough to play any horse at 1-5. So you got to kind of have to take the exacta. I really like the 7 underneath in an exacta. Red Route 1. I think he could pick up the pieces. One thing about it though, closers kind of gets a little scary here, but I'll still stick with it. 6-7 makes sense to me. We'll see what Corona Bolt can do. The 2 horse, that's the other one taking the money. He is out at 7-2 right now. Boy, magic after that. Nobody's taking money. Jace's Road is 10-1. He won the Gun Runner by open links. He's 10-1 in this spot. That's pretty crazy.
Apparently, they don't think Fairgrounds form is going to transfer over here. You see it on the screen if you're watching the track feed for Oaklawn Park. The 2 Corona Bolt is on the feed. Flavien Prat's been having a pretty damn good day. Not only did he win the Martha Washington, he won a race earlier on the card. I know he also won with Talladega in a maiden special weight for trainer Rudy Brissett and Windstar Farm. So Flavien Prat on Corona Bolt at these odds, I will let Arabian Night beat me at 1-5. It's just if I'm playing a win bet, Aaron, I cannot touch him at 1-5. I'll take Corona Bolt, who's also very heavily bet from 6-1 down to 3-1. The bettors are making it sound like it's a 2-horse race, and maybe they're going with Corona Bolt a little bit here just because he'll have the inside maneuver on Arabian Night in the way that speed has been playing so far.
I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, I mean, it is possible, right? I just feel like Arabian Night's a little bit faster, one little shove, and he's going to kind of get that lead and play catch me as you can. That's the thing I would do if I've watched these races all day. And by the way, Bob Baffert, like we said, at Oaklawn Park for the first time since 2011, he's been watching them, and I'd have to think he's telling Johnny V, just send, and we'll see if he can take him gate to wire. It's a strategy that has worked over and over and over and over again at Oaklawn Park for Bob Baffert in these prep races. So I think it could work again. It seems like with Bob Baffert, most of his horses do have the early speed. Just try to take him gate to wire.
Cindy's Place Horses is going for a long shot here. And you know what? I don't hate this. I do think the 1 Sun Thunder is sneaky here for Ken McPeak. Wheeling the 1 over 2 Corona Bolt, 6 Arabian Night, and 7 Red Route 1. It's hard to play a horse coming from off the pace, though, the way this track has been playing lately. I do think Sun Thunder is an intriguing one. I actually told Aaron that Sun Thunder is who Mike and I almost claimed in the Racing Dudes Triple Crown Fantasy League, and then we saw 3 Coxes in Arabian Night, and we went, nah, maybe not. Let's not waste 20 points picking him up here to run 4th or 5th in this race. So, Dave, we are at Oaklawn Park right now. I'll scroll up a little bit. This is going to be Oaklawn Park Race 10, the Southwest Stakes. They're loading them up pretty good here. Let us know what you're playing here. But, boy, this is exciting because Arabian Night, that super impressive debut winner to start Saturday Breeders' Cup at Keeneland, got the last horse, El Tamat, in the gate. And thank God I don't have the sound on because I don't know if there's a worse announcer than Vic Stauffer. All right, they're out of the gate. The 5 and the 6, boy, Arabian Night just went like effortlessly is on the lead, Aaron. Is this race over already?
Well, I'm not going to call it over, but that's exactly what you wanted to see. That's how you draw it up. And by the way, at least on paper, the next biggest challenger is kind of sitting in 4th with getting mud thrown in the face. So even better for Arabian Night. Frost of Departure thinks, hey, I'm going to go out and try to push him. And that's not going to happen, I don't think. The first fraction's fast, though, 23.
Yeah, well, I remember after the race, after his debut win, Velasquez was quoted as saying, they asked him, well, you know, what instructions did Bob give you on the horse? And he said, ride him like he's Uncle Mo 2.0. Uncle Mo was a monster and a half at 2 and early in his 3-year-old career. 46-4, he did slow it down quite a bit there, and nobody's touching him.
He is going absolutely effortlessly right now. They're going to start coming to him, and we'll see the test. But yeah, from here, he looks pretty smooth. Frost of Departure going to take the first run at him here. It looks like Jace's Road, the Gun Runner winner, also going to take a run at him.
They're going to take their runs, but I saw Velasquez just kind of open up a little bit on him, and this might be pulling away. Hey, the Sun Thunder's starting to make a move. He may complete this. Hey, Red Route 1 is moving. That horse was about 20 lengths behind early. We got a little bit of a stretch run. Are you sweating? Velasquez isn't sweating this. He's just pumping on the reins. This one's over, baby. Arabian Night is going to win this thing. Look at that 6 furlong time was sub 112 in the slop.
I'm just sweating
My
out Red
goodness,
Route
this
getting up for
horse.
second. Get up for second.
He
He's
did.
going to.
He
Yes.
did.
Yes. There we go.
Oh, and hats tip of the cap to Michael Olsen. He said, play the exacta for $100. You just cashed. That's how you make money, by the way, on a 2-5 favorite winning. You play the 15-1 underneath in second, and that's how you cash on the exacta. That was a good play, good recommendation from Michael. I know you were big on Red Route 1 to hit the board here in this spot.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised Frosted Departure kind of fell off a little bit. Maybe just going after Arabian Night that hard early and that fast is what did him in, and it allowed Red Route. Again, another horse that won't change his leads, Red Route 1. Boy, Arabian Night. What a performance.
Yeah, so a few things. I think Frosted Departure ran his balls off. I'll give him all the credit in the world. Magic, he was chasing Arabian Night the whole race. Of course he was going to go backwards a bit. Yeah, we were on this one. If you are new, if you haven't watched this, we do preview videos of all the big races. And in that Southwest preview, I said Arabian Night, and I was pretty high on Red Route 1. I said it on the Daily Show, thought Red Route 1 would complete this exacta. And what happened is basically why I did Red Route 1 in second. I thought all the other speed would kind of chase, and I thought Arabian Night would run him into the ground, and then Red Route 1 would just pick up the pieces. You watch at the back stretch, Red Route 1's got way away. He said, you guys do whatever. I don't have no interest in winning. I'll come up and get second. So it worked out that time. I don't know. I didn't see the probables before they went in the gate, though. Let's see what it is. Yeah, so $11 for $1 on that exacta. That's how you make money on short prices. You know, a lot of times they go, well, it's 2-5. We're going to skip the race. And, you know, we also did a video on just this. Don't skip it. Find the horse in second and play just a straight exacta. And so it worked out. It worked out that time.
Yeah, great call on you. Great call, anybody that not just obviously you pick the 2-5 favorite to win, but to hit the exacta, the try, like that's how you're going to make some good money here. Sun Thunder to get up for fourth, 46-1. Excuse me. Frosted Departure won a mile stakes race over this track last out. Went off at 46-1 and gets up for hangs on for third, I should say. Sun Thunder came running late, but the track bias was up against him. I thought that was still a good run. Red Route 1 really impressed me here. One horse that was very disappointing, Corona Bolt. I don't know where he finished, but it wasn't anywhere close to the top four there.
You're not going to win with that trip stretching out for the first time and trying to chase that horse on the inside, getting slop thrown in your face. I knew on the first turn, Corona Bolt had no chance to win that race with that trip.
Yeah.
That just is what it is, right? So
who owns Corona Bolt in the fantasy league? The Racing Dudes Triple Crown Fantasy League.
Jared has Corona Bolt.
It's a damn shame that happened to him. By the way, speaking of that, Paul Freybeers traded basically the farm to move up to the first overall pick because he thought Arabian Night was a Triple Crown winner. Richard Alvar in the chat is asking, does Arabian Night remind you of another Triple Crown winner, American Pharaoh?
Not yet, no, but he's got talent and he showed it. And listen, really, really good horses, elite horses, this is what they can do. They get out to the front. You might look at that race on paper and say, God, there's 4 or 5 speed horses. What's going to happen here? The good ones do what Arabian Night just did. Get out to the front and run them into the ground. And you're not worried about anything else. You're just saying, get out there. So that's what we kind of saw right there. But no, he does not remind me of American Pharaoh. But we've got 2 races under our belts. So we'll see if he progresses, where he comes up next. This was a fantastic effort. Very good job.
You talked about how you make money on short price favorites. How about how you make money on 2 short price favorites in a pick 3? You get Gun Night at 3-5. You get Arabian Night at 2-5. You hit the all button and pray for a miracle in the middle, and you get Call Me Fast to come home at 18-1. Pays $15 for the 50-cent pick 3 there. Yeah, I'll take that. That ended up being a $6 ticket for me. So I got a 250% return on that bet. So that worked out well too.
I have a question. So for the Daily Show, I said if Arabian Night is not 4-5, then the bet is the 6-7 exacta. So do I get credit for that, or do I just get credit for the win?
You know what? I didn't hear you say that, but that doesn't mean you didn't say it. I should say I don't remember you saying that. I'm on my fourth one of these, by the way, in the show. So I will say that counts. So the
Okay.
ROI for the dudes who bet daily showed, because you did put a stipulation on it this morning. That just went through the roof. The dollar exacta pays 11.70, 50-cent trifecta pays 46.85, and the 10-cent super pays 24.11. They're all logical horses to hit there. You just needed Corona Bolt to not show up, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I'm very happy at the moment about
Paul
that.
wants to know if he's won the fantasy league yet.
No, but that's very good. I'll have to update that as soon as we get off the air, Paul. I promise I'll update and send that out. One quick thing, and a lot of people will try third, John ran very well.
Yeah.
Magic thought he was terrible. I thought he ran great. So here's the thing. So Red Route 1 played $6.60 to place, okay, for $2. And his $2 exacta paid $23.40, if I'm doing that off the top of my head. So that's why when you don't want to play a 2 to 5, but you think the horse is going to roll, and you're like, well, I'll just play the horse I like in second to place. Don't do that. Play the exacta with that horse you think is going to roll keyed on top. And that's why, because the payouts are like double and triple what they would be if you just played a place bet. So always kind of remember to do that. There is a video on racingdudes.com if you want to go back and look at it where I cover this. And again, I say in the video, it doesn't always work out, but over time, when it works out, you're going to get paid a lot better doing something like the exacta or the try. So
if you have the patience, it will definitely pay out for you. I'm going to go ahead and pull up just because you don't want to look at this field. You just want to see. This is what Arabian Night looked like on his win. The one single knock that I had on this horse after his debut win is that he had a paddling motion that put essential quality to shame. And you and I both even said, you know what? It didn't matter for essential quality. Like, that horse was still a damn beast and won a lot of races and was very impressive. I didn't see a paddling motion this time. This horse ran pretty damn straight in the stretch, and that was very impressive as well. Before we get out of here, and by the way, thank you everybody who's joined us for this almost 3-hour show with just Aaron and I pretty much. And by the way, I can't believe we made it 3 hours. This has been a good time. The very important question, and this is a real thing, if you want your horse with Bob Baffert to be qualified for the Triple Crown, you've got to move that horse by February 28th, so a month from today. A month from today, who is training Arabian Night, Aaron?
Okay. In my opinion, they screwed it up last year with their big horses. They've got to make better choices this year. I don't have the answer. But what he just did proves to me you better get him with somebody, right? Somebody decent. I don't know. I really don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I hope good things for the horse. I really do. I really hope for it. And to your point on the paddling, I never watched Arabian Night the whole time down the stretch. I was just watching for Red Route 1, so I'll have to go back and watch.
I will say it took me a while, but it was about the 16th pole when it was like he is gone and here comes Red Route 1. I started looking at his legs and I was like, damn, those things are pretty straight right now. So looking pretty good. It's tricky, right? Because a lot of the big name trainers don't want him because they won't get the credit if he wins the Derby. Brad Cox doesn't want him. Asmussen doesn't want him. You don't want to send it to Dale Romans. I think actually, I didn't think about this until she said it in the chat. Brie Glosser says Johnny Ortiz. If you want this horse has won at Oaklawn and succeeded and done well. Johnny Ortiz was pants on fire at Oaklawn last year. Is still doing pretty well this year. Johnny Ortiz might not be a bad one because he also takes a lot of the Gary West horses. Gary Mary West, a longtime clients of the Bafferts. So you could see him go there. But that also means he'd have to move outside of California, and Baffert's not going to be able to keep half an eye on him. You can't send him to the Yak team. That just didn't work out well. And it wasn't just the Derby. Like, I know Table won the San Diego Derby, but go back and look at who he beat in that field. It wasn't anything. I don't know that you can really keep him there in California. I think John Ortiz is not a bad suggestion there for Bree.
It's a good suggestion for sure. I totally agree. Very good suggestion. I don't think that's who it's going to ultimately be. And that's not anything against John Ortiz or anything against your suggestion, Bree, because I think it's good. I don't know what the connection would be. I think it's got to be somebody that Bafford's got some connection with, and I don't think that's him. But he would do a good job with him for sure. I think he would make a lot of sense. I will say this, and you might be right, but I will disagree with you slightly. I think if they call Brad Cox or they call Steve Asmussen with this horse, I think they're going to take him, because when you got one like this that's shown that kind of race, I think they're going to put egos aside. I think they're taking him.
Oh, Brad Cox. Have you seen the Cox? I know that the two Cox horses here just both, as Dan would say, shit to bed. But I don't know that Cox is at that point yet. I think Cox still thinks he can do it on his own, and that's the thing too. Is like somebody who's up and coming like him. I don't know. It is a great question, and it's one we won't have an answer to for quite a while here. But that is a great answer. That is a fantastic answer, and probably the most likely one.
Well, I said it last year. I said this was the one that would make sense, because Lucas, he don't give a shit. They're good friends. He'd love to have them. He'll take whoever. He doesn't care. He'll give them right back once it's over. I thought it made a ton of sense, and they didn't. They never even mentioned it. But to me, Lucas would kind of just act as a puppet in some ways. He'll do what Bafford wants him to do. I mean, go ahead.
Bafford will say like, hey, maybe put a couple 6 furlong breezes into him before the Arkansas Derby. Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's a good idea, Bob. Isn't Lucas's barn where Bafford's horses go when they ship to Oaklawn?
Yes, that's why I kept saying it last year. I said he's perfect. He's perfect for but they obviously they didn't do it last year, so maybe it is this year. People thought I was crazy, and then they thought about it and they were like, well, yeah, that actually does make some sense to send them somewhere to where it's going to be a pretty clean exchange one way or another. So and then Rob says sent life is good to Pletcher. Bafford did not send life is good to Pletcher. The owner.
Yeah, that wasn't Bafford.
Yeah,
that was Windstar going best horses to Pletcher, other ones to Brissett.
Yeah, and they had a relationship with Pletcher, obviously Windstar. So that's just kind of what they did. And again, that's why I look for Bafford. Of course, he had a relationship with the two guys that they sent to last year, and it's not a knock on those two guys, but it was just like they set those two guys up to kind of fail. It was they held out to the very last second, then they just kind of gave him to him. Then there was pressure to run Taba where Bob Bafford wasn't going to run him, and it was a mess. It needs to be cleaner this year from everybody involved.
I don't know if this is a joke or not. He's Michael's saying Aiden Farias. Aiden Farias was once arrested for money laundering for the Mexican drug cartel in the quarter horse world. So I don't know if he's kidding or not, but that is a funny joke if you were kidding about that one. Luis Mendez is great with breaking 2-year-olds and getting them to pop early. They haven't really succeeded much beyond that point with him. You might be able to completely manhandle Luis, but manhandling Tim Yakteen didn't really work out that well for you last year. So we'll see. All right, we're going to get out of here. It has been just about 3 hours, and 81 of you are still watching, which is unbelievable. Thank you so much, sincerely, to everybody who's joined us, even if just for part of the show. If you were here for a little bit, or you just showed up late, we really appreciate that. We are going to, as Valleys to Peaks, as we doing these often as possible. Glad you had a great time. Thank you for the praise. This was a lot of fun. Normally it's more than just Aaron and I. Mike is usually here. He just was at Gulfstream partying today, and Jared's little boy, it's his birthday party today. So usually you see more than just the two of us ugly mugs on here, but we will continue doing these for the big days, especially the Derby prep days. And it's going to keep building up towards the Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby Day is going to be awesome. Last year I did a live show pretty much from the entire card at Churchill Downs. So maybe we'll do that, and I'll have more than just myself and a drunk / high Slim helping me out on the other screen there. But thank you everybody for helping us, for being part of this. The chat makes this fun. You make it enjoyable. So you made these 3 hours feel like just an hour and a half, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and one last thing, just remember, sometimes you're gonna be at a track, be at a big day, and you're not gonna hit anything. But then you go right over to the Oaklawn, and it's like I'm hitting everything. And it's not because you're a brilliant at Oaklawn and you're bad at Gulfstream or this or that. It's just that's how it goes sometimes. It's gambling. It's horse racing. It can definitely be finicky. don't get down on yourself. I used to beat myself up, but you just got to realize sometimes it's not your day at a track or a certain place. So yeah, thanks everybody again. Great chat today. Great group of people we've got, and really appreciate all of you. And I bet we're back next week, probably big preps next week.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We've been building this community slowly over the last year and a half here on YouTube, and we want to keep it going. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/racingdudes, and hit a like button on here. And we've got tons of content coming towards you. Aaron does previews for all of the big Derby preps, all the other big races. The team is doing previews for that as well. If you played the exacta that I gave out for the Lost Virginity Stakes at Santa Anita, that cashed as well too earlier. So hopefully you're able to take part of that. And of course, free picks for every race, every day, every track in America. It's all thanks to that guy. I'm used to being on the other side here. Aaron Halterman, literally, it's not a computer program. It's him looking at forms and looking at time form to see who he wants to pick. It's right there. So thank you so much for Aaron Halterman, Mike Somich, Jared Welch, Dr. Miranda, everybody part of Racing Dudes Nation. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next weekend for another live show. Take care, everybody. RacingDudes.com is your home for the best free picks for every race, every track across the country. We're ramping up for the 2023 Kentucky Derby, and we want you to join us in the fun. Subscribe to Racing Dudes YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a single video. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.